Chapter 67. Above the valley, many powerhouses watched as the lava hound that was chasing Mo Xiaobai broke all of its bones and delivered itself to Mo Xiaobai. Then, Mo Xiaobai killed it one by one with 3 consecutive slashes. Suddenly, everyone fell into a strange silence. They stared at the corpses on the ground, stunned. F***ck. How the F***ck is this possible? After a moment of silence, the bald man couldn't help but curse. The gray-haired elder's mouth twitched. I've lived for a few hundred years, and this is the most unbelievable way I've ever seen to kill an enemy above my level. He was a bit confused. Had the times changed? Now they could kill demon leaders like this? Everyone else's face twitched. This guy's luck is too good. The opponent had crippled itself and delivered itself to his feet. This kind of luck was incomprehensible. But luck is also a part of one's strength. The middle-aged merman laughed dryly. When the others heard this, they nodded in agreement. Regardless of whether it was in the void or the 3 forbidden areas, those who were lucky could find high-grade medicinal herbs, origin skill crystals, extraordinary materials, or even void treasures and ancient ruins. All of these things could increase one's strength. Having good luck was something that countless people envied, and it was also a reflection of one's strength. In the valley, when Mo Xiaobai killed the lava demon hound, the lava demon hound's screams attracted the attention of Yan Shui, Mu Sunlin, and many other examinees. Yan Shui dodged the lava hound's fireballs as she turned to look in Mo Xiaobai's direction. When she saw the corpses on the ground, her pupils constricted and her body trembled. She almost stopped moving. However, the roar behind her caused her heart to tremble. She came to her senses and continued to dodge the attack. Her heart was filled with shock and disbelief. How was this possible? That guy actually killed the lava hound. How did he do it? Yan Shui didn't see the lava demon hound when it was still rolling around, so she couldn't figure it out. Because he was too shocked, he was distracted and almost got hit by a flame claw. Forrest was also dumbfounded. How could he not know the strength of a second-grade magical beast? Mo Xiaobai was only at the peak of 1 aperture. How could he kill a Class 2 demonic beast? What the hell was going on? The examinees in the distance were also in a daze. Some of them were even struck by the demonic beasts because they were distracted and were sent flying with heavy injuries. Only a small portion of the examinees, who were originally lying on the ground with serious injuries, saw the whole thing from beginning to end. At this moment, they were looking at Mo Xiaobai with strange expressions. This person, could he be the son of destiny? Why would a Tier 2 demon chieftain come here to die? Mo Xiaobai was just about to wait for the lava demon hound to extract the transcendent material when he heard the screams in the distance. His expression changed and he looked up. In the distance, the examinees who had been ambushed by the lava demon hound were already at their limit. Now that they were stunned by Mo Xiaobai's strange actions, the demonic beasts had taken advantage of the opportunity, and they were already on the verge of collapsing. One examinee after another flew out with heavy injuries. If not for their strength, some of them might have died. Even so, Mo Xiaobai could see that some of them were seriously injured. Mo Xiaobai frowned and rushed towards the examinees. At this moment, a few figures descended from the sky. A terrifying aura covered the area, and all the demonic beasts were immediately suppressed by the aura. Then, Su Du stomped on the ground with his right foot. Dong! The ground shook, and spikes shot up into the sky, piercing through all the demonic beasts. Even the 2 Tier 2 demonic beasts that were chasing after Yan Shui and Mu Forest did not manage to escape. They were pierced by the spikes and died instantly. Mo Xiaobai's pupils constricted and his heart trembled. Was this the power of a 7-chakra master? He killed so many Tier 1 demonic beasts and 2 Tier 2 demonic beasts with a casual move. Too powerful. Su Du's expression did not change at all, as if he had done something insignificant. The middle-aged merman had already arrived beside the heavily injured examinees. He waved his right hand, and streams of blue light appeared out of thin air. These streams of water wrapped around the bodies of close to 100 examinees. Mo Xiaobai could see that these examinees' bodies were recovering at an extremely fast speed. Their originally pale faces became rosy, and their pained expressions disappeared. In a short span of 10 breaths, except for a few who were severely injured, everyone else had recovered. Even the areas that had been burned by the lava had completely recovered. Mo Xiaobai exclaimed again. This teacher from the Spiritual Heart Academy was also very powerful. At the very least, he was a powerful healing body fundamentalist. After so many powerful people rushed over, the huge crisis that Mo Xiaobai and the rest had been resolved in an instant. Mo Xiaobai exhaled and turned to look at the lava hound's corpse. He realized that the transcendent materials had seeped out. There was less green light, more blue light, and finally a trace of purple light. Rare transcendent materials. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed and jogged back. He quickly picked up all the transcendent materials. The green transcendent materials were the lava hound's bones, claws, and a few teeth. The blue ones were its pair of demon horns, its viscous purplish-black gelatinous demon blood, its dark red heart, and its crimson scales. As for the purple light, what surprised Mo Xiaobai was that it was actually a pale white ring. Mo Xiaobai picked up the ring. The whole ring was made of pale white bones. There were dark red lines on it, as if it was carved by flames. The whole ring had a warm feeling to it. A rank 2 rare heavenly forged ring. Mo Xiaobai was excited. Heavenly forged equipment was rare, not to mention a rank 2 rare one. Moreover, it was a ring. The value was extremely high. Mo Xiaobai happily put the ring on. Suddenly, he felt that his strength and endurance seemed to have increased. At the same time, his mind seemed to have been nourished. Mo Xiaobai felt that his strength had increased by 10%, his endurance had increased by less than 20%, and his spirit had increased by nearly 10%. His battle strength had increased by about 20%. This increase was already very terrifying. One had to know that his battle strength was already very strong. What kind of feeling would it have if it increased by another 20%? However, for a rare heavenly forged ring that was close to a legendary equipment, this increase was already considered small. Mo Xiaobai was not surprised. This ring was rank 2 and had origin power adaptability. He was only rank 1 and could not display the full effect of this ring. Only after breaking through to rank 2 would he be able to display the full effect of this ring. At that time, his improvement would be great. However, even so, this ring was not comparable to the elite grade ring that he obtained from the greedy adventurer in the Greystone Hills. After all, it was a rare heavenly forged ring. Mo Xiaobai fondly stroked the ring and named it the Lava Bone Ring. After all, it was a ring made from the bones of a lava hound. Just as Mo Xiaobai was rejoicing, a cold voice sounded. "Student Mo Xiaobai, thank you very much." Mo Xiaobai turned his head and found Yan Shui not far away, silently looking at him. Her face was still expressionless. Chapter 68. Seeing Mo Xiaobai look over, she said, "If you hadn't warned me, I would have been injured." Facing a second-level magical beast in that state, the consequences would have been unthinkable. This woman was still the same as last time. She was still so principled. She could actually differentiate between the two so clearly. Mo Xiaobai smiled inwardly and said, "I'm doing this for myself. If you can't stop the Abyss Devil Leader, then I'll have to face 3 Abyss Devil Leaders alone. I'll be dead." Yan Shui didn't expect Mo Xiaobai to say that. She was stunned for a moment, then her expression softened. Then, she looked at the dried lava demon hound's flesh beside Mo Xiaobai and her expression changed slightly. Her ice-blue eyes were filled with unwillingness, helplessness, bewilderment, and other complicated emotions. She nodded at Mo Xiaobai and didn't say anything else. Mo Xiaobai looked at Yan Shui and was confused. He didn't intend to ask. At this moment, Mu Forest walked over. He looked a little disheveled. The hem of his gorgeous green robe had been cut short, revealing his boots of the same color. There were also a few holes on his robe, which should have been burned by the flames. His green hair was a little messy and there was some dust on his face. But even so, he still had a refreshing smile on his face. His noble aura couldn't be erased. Mu Forest smiled as he walked over to Emo Xiaobai and said, "Student Emo Xiaobai, thank you so much. Otherwise, we would have all died here." Emo Xiaobai chuckled, "You're welcome. We've gone through life and death together. From now on, we're friends. If you need my help, don't hesitate to look for me." Mu Forest chuckled. Under Emo Xiaobai's confused gaze, he reached out and put his arm around Emo Xiaobai's shoulder. Emo Xiaobai, why was he acting so familiar? He was speechless. However, Mu Forest's personality was quite to Emo Xiaobai's liking. Naturally, Emo Xiaobai wouldn't object to making friends. At this moment, Mu Forest looked down at the corpse of the lava demon hound on the ground. His eyes were filled with shock. "Xiaobai, how did you kill it?" Not far away, Yan Shui heard Mu Forest's question. She was also shocked. She quietly pricked up her ears to listen to Emo Xiaobai's answer. When Emo Xiaobai heard this, he said innocently, "When this guy was chasing me, he accidentally put his leg into the crack and broke all the bones in his body. I just stood there and hacked him to death." Forest, Yan Shui, the two of them looked at Emo Xiaobai strangely. They were a little confused. The atmosphere instantly fell silent. After a moment, the corner of Mu Forest's mouth twitched. "That's it?" Emo Xiaobai nodded. "That's it. Xiaobai, with your luck, you can easily be beaten to death." His eyes turned green. "How could this be?" At this moment, Yan Shui said softly from afar, "Emo Xiaobai should have discovered a void treasure a few days ago, right?" Emo Xiaobai was stunned. He looked at Yan Shui in surprise. "Why would you think that? It's only been a few days since we last met, but your cultivation level has risen from the 5th level to the pinnacle. Clearly, you used a rare treasure. At this level outside, there aren't many rare treasures that can raise one's cultivation level so quickly. It's most likely an origin fruit. In the blazing heat wilderness, the probability of finding one is too low. Of course, if it's just an origin fruit, it's not completely impossible to find it. However, the rare-grade heavenly forged leather armor you're wearing," Yan Shui glanced at Emo Xiaobai's leather armor and said softly, "You found an origin fruit and a rare heavenly forged leather armor set at the same time. Clearly, you entered a void treasure, right?" At the end of her sentence, even her gaze at Emo Xiaobai was somewhat envious. The probability of discovering a void treasure was too low. At least, from the data on the surface, it might not even appear once in a few years. However, the real situation was definitely higher. After all, most people would choose to make a fortune in silence after discovering a void treasure. Even so, it was still extremely rare to find a void treasure. Who would have thought that Emo Xiaobai would actually find a void treasure? How could anyone not be envious? Emo Xiaobai looked at Yan Shui's ice-cold eyes and was a little shocked. This woman was very smart. At the side, Mu Forest widened his eyes and looked at Emo Xiaobai. "Student Xiaobai? Is Yan Shui telling the truth?" Emo Xiaobai nodded lightly. Yes. There was nothing to hide. They all knew about his previous cultivation base. In fact, the teachers probably had some guesses about him finding a void treasure, right? Even if they didn't have any guesses now, as long as they saw his cultivation base and region when he registered, they would definitely have some guesses. The corner of Mu Forest's mouth twitched, and his eyes turned red with envy. "What kind of luck is this? I thought you were deliberately pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. You brought an origin fruit and a heavenly forged leather armor set in your spatial ring and planned to enter the void treasure to improve and amaze the world. Who would have thought that you actually found a void treasure?" Emo Xiaobai was stunned when he heard Mu Forest's guesses. What kind of brain circuit was this? Was this how the children of aristocratic families played? He silently looked at Yen Shui and found that Yen Shui was expressionless. She even seemed to look at Mu Forest with some disdain. He immediately felt relieved. It seemed that he wasn't crazy. The crazy one was Mu Forest. While they were chatting, the experts in the distance had already dealt with the scene. The materials of the magical beasts had been collected and the candidates had all been treated. Su Du crossed his arms in front of his chest, and his resolute face was a little cold. All right, you are the last batch of candidates. Since you have also asked for help, this year's first cries trial will end here. Hearing this, all the examinees felt relieved and smiled. The gray-haired elder looked at the candidates' relaxed and happy smiles and smiled warmly. All right, you've all worked hard. I'll bring you back. As he spoke, he didn't do anything. A light breeze blew and lifted everyone up. Then, the wind whistled and brought everyone back to the encampment amidst everyone's exclamations. Mo Xiaobai listened to the whistling of the wind and looked at the rapidly passing scenery below. He opened his eyes wide and felt a little excited. Was this flying? How exciting! He hoped that he could break through to the 7th aperture soon so that he could fly. The elder was very fast. In a moment, he brought everyone to the huge encampment square and stopped. The candidates who had already finished the trial were resting in the encampment's resting area. When they saw everyone descending from the sky, their eyes widened. It's Yen Shui, Mu Forest, and those geniuses at the peak of the 1 aperture. They're back too? Looks like the trial has ended. I wonder what the final rankings will be? Everyone was looking forward to it, but also a little nervous. Once the rankings were out, it would determine whether they could enter the 3 great schools. Chapter 69. After landing, Sudo looked at the candidates and said, All right, you can go to the Adventurers Guild to register your points. Hearing Sudo's words, the candidates' eyes lit up and they smiled as they walked towards the Adventurers Guild. They were very relaxed. With their abilities, they would definitely be able to enter the Big 3. It was just a matter of ranking. The higher the ranking, the more schools would fight over them and the higher the rewards. This was why they were looking forward to it. Mu Forest smiled and said, Xiao Bai, shall we go together? Beside him were Li Mu Er, Kong Xiuran, and Ji Fei Bai. At this moment, the 3 of them were looking at Mo Xiao Bai. Li Mu Er's eyes shone brightly. Mo Xiao Bai, you're too amazing. You're the only candidate here who managed to kill a Class 2 magical beast. Ji Fei Bai nodded slightly. That's true. With the points of a Class 2 magical beast, Mo Xiao Bai has hopes of getting first place. The taciturn Kong Xiuran nodded with a face full of envy. On the other hand, Mu Forest's mouth twitched. He had mixed feelings. He originally thought that it would only be him and Yen Shui fighting for first place. He didn't think that Mo Xiao Bai would jump out at the end. The points of a Class 2 magical beast were too high. Even if Mo Xiao Bai didn't kill a magical beast for more than half of the time, he still wasn't confident. Mo Xiao Bai laughed softly. I'm not sure yet. Let's see how it goes. He actually didn't think that he would have the chance to get first place. After all, his original goal was just to get into the Big 3. Who would have thought that his luck would be so good? Yen Shui had already left. Mo Xiao Bai, Mu Forest, and Li Mu Er also left. Along the way, many people glanced at them. Most of the examinees had their eyes on Mo Xiao Bai. Even Mu Forest did not receive as much attention as him. At that time, all the examinees present knew that Mo Xiao Bai had killed a rank 2 lava demon hound. He was also the only examinee who managed to kill a stage 2 leader. Even Yen Shui and Wood Forest could barely avoid the attacks of the Class 2 demonic beasts. This time, Mo Xiao Bai was definitely the darkest dark horse. He even had a high chance of becoming the top scorer. The group walked through the streets and headed towards the Adventurers Guild. Along the way, Many examinees who had already been eliminated rushed out of the resting area and followed Mo Xiao Bai and the rest towards the Adventurers Guild. Today would be the day to decide the final ranking. They also wanted to know how strong the most talented group of young dragons and phoenixes were, and how many points they had accumulated. Who do you think will be the top scorer this time? On the street, someone looked at the 100 or so examinees who were the last to return and asked softly, "Yen Shui. I'm guessing it will be Yen Shui." A rabbit-human boy looked determined. "She's first on the Dragon Phoenix leaderboard. She's definitely the strongest. And she's so good-looking too." A beautiful elf girl beside him said, "Pfft, what does good-looking have to do with strength? Young Master Mu will definitely be first. Both of them are direct descendants of the elders' families. I think young Master Mu will definitely be stronger." "I think so too, Wood Forest. I'll bet on Yen Shui." Everyone thought that the top scorer would definitely be either Yen Shui or Wood Forest. After all, only the two of them had opened 2 apertures. Moreover, they were direct descendants of the Yen and Mu families. How could their combat power be weak? Hearing the discussion, the examinees who had just returned had strange expressions and looked towards Mo Xiao Bai. They sighed inwardly. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would probably have the same thoughts as those people. However, there was a high probability that the outcome this time would exceed their expectations. Very quickly, everyone arrived at the Adventurers Guild. The scorching wilderness was a suffering-level void territory. Its area was much larger than the Grey Stone Hills. Naturally, the encampment was also larger. The Adventurers Guild's encampment was also much grander than the one in the Grey Stone Hills. The Adventurers Guild was made of dark red hard rocks and looked a little rough. The door was 10 meters tall and 10 meters wide. It was enough for many people to enter at the same time. There was also a small square outside the door. At this moment, in the small square in front of the Adventurers Guild, there was a huge screen erected. The screen was filled with the names of the examinees. This was the ranking of the first Ming trial and their point. Mo Xiao Bai glanced at it. The first place was now a examinee called Lu Shi. She had more than 13,000 points. This was already a very high score. The person at the bottom only had 5 points. The difference was more than 2,000 times. Mo Xiao Bai was quite curious about what the person at the bottom had done to obtain 5 points. Beside the screen, there were more than 10 staff members from the Ministry of Education sitting behind a table. They were waiting. These staff members were all herb appraisers and material appraisers. The examinees who had already returned gathered around the small square to watch the show. Mo Xiao Bai and the rest came in front of the appraisers. Su Du and many other powerful people were smiling at the examinees. These people were the geniuses of this bat. Especially Mo Xiao Bai, Yen Shui and Mu Forest. Most of the powerful people were looking at the 3 of them. Among them, Mo Xiao Bai was the one they paid the most attention to. After all, Mo Xiao Bai's performance was too shocking. Especially the incomprehensible luck at the end. It was simply ridiculous. Su Du crossed his arms and stood there like a mountain. He raised his voice and said, "Begin the registration." Hearing this, the examinees rushed forward excitedly. They poured out a pile of herbs, transcendent materials and evidence like the ears and teeth of magical beasts from their spatial rings. In a moment, the entire square was filled with the smell of blood. But to many of the body fundamentalists, the smell of blood did not cause any discomfort. The appraisers at the scene began to quickly appraise. This included the type and grade of the herbs, the strength and rank of the magical beasts, and so on. Lin Xiu, a total of 10,843 points. Lu Yiming, a total of 19,522 points. Li Xiaoxiao, a total of 15,720 points. The examinees' points came out one by one and there were more names on the screen. Lu Shi, who was originally in first place, quickly fell behind. Many examinees in the distance heard the points being reported one by one, and all of them opened their eyes wide and inhaled a breath of cold air. SSS, these guys are really perverted. None of them have less than 10,000 points, too terrifying. Are these the geniuses? Everyone was shocked. One must know that they were already considered super geniuses in their own cities. They did not expect that they would be shocked by the strength of others here. Soon, the examinees were done with the assessment and there were only about 10 left. Mu Forest smiled and said, "Xiao Bai, let's go take the assessment too." Mo Xiao Bai nodded his head and there was a flash of anticipation in his eyes, and Yen Shui, who was not far away, saw that there was no one left and went forward as well. After seeing Mu Forest and Yen Shui go forward, everyone was excited. Look, Yen Shui and Mu Forest are starting to register their points. Most of the examinees who had just finished their assessment had their eyes fixed on Mo Xiao Bai. A barbarian youth who had been eliminated long ago and had come to watch the commotion saw a barbarian youth who looked similar to him looking at a black-haired human youth with a serious expression. He asked curiously, "Brother, why aren't you paying attention to Yen Shui and Mu Forest? Why are you paying attention to that black-haired guy?" The barbarian youth glanced at his younger brother, who looked somewhat similar to him, and recalled the strange killing scene from before. The corner of his mouth twitched as he said, "Don't speak. Watch that fellow carefully. That fellow will give all of you a shock." Hearing this, the younger barbarian was stunned. He looked at his older brother strangely and then curiously looked in the direction of Mo Xiao Bai. In the other areas, there were a few other examinees who were familiar with the examinees who had just returned and were having similar conversations. They looked at Mo Xiao Bai in confusion and curiosity. They did not understand why such powerful friends and relatives would pay so much attention to this black-haired youth. They were even paying more attention to him than Mu Forest and Yen Shui. P.S. Thank you for coming over to take a look. Rabbit loves to eat cabbage. BB Bubbles, Book Friend 20200318101112038, Fruity Lotus Root Slices, Overnight Sage, Darius Hill, Farmer Lee, Napoleon's Underwear as a reward. Thank you, Big Shots. Chapter 70. In the square, Mo Xiao Bai came before a material appraiser and a herb appraiser. The material appraiser was an elven man with a fringe on his left side and a pair of green eyes. He wasn't very old, at most in his 20s or 30s, and looked very amiable. He smiled at Mo Xiao Bai. "Student, take out your materials and herbs." Mo Xiao Bai nodded. Then, with a wave of his right hand, a large pile of extraordinary materials and magical beast carcasses piled into one, and another pile of herbs piled into another. They looked like two small hills. Seeing the many materials and herbs on the ground, the two appraisers were stunned. The herb appraiser was a barbarian man who looked a little dull. He had been standing at the side without saying a word. But now, his eyes were shining as he grabbed a mushroom that looked like it was burning on the ground. It was about the size of a palm. A blaze mushroom? And a rare one at that? The barbarian man's eyes widened and his breathing quickened. He raised his head to look at the smiling Mo Xiao Bai, then at the blaze mushroom in his hand. After going back and forth a few times, he took a deep breath and said, "A rare blaze mushroom. 5,000 points." He lowered his head and recorded it on the instrument. Mo Xiao Bai smiled inwardly. The 2,000th place had 4,998 points. In other words, this blaze mushroom's points alone had allowed him to rush into the top 2,000. The material appraiser at the side also widened his eyes at the mountain of extraordinary materials. His breathing quickened as he squatted down, his movements as gentle as if he was stroking his lover's long hair. He carefully began to appraise the various extraordinary materials. A rare black scale blazing salamander's leather armor. The origin power remnant waves inside should come from a 1-apertured rank 8 black scale blazing salamander leader. 4,000 points. A rare wild wolf's leather should come from a 1-apertured rank 7 wild wolf leader. 3,500 points. This is a red blazing spider's poison sac. A rare one. The elven appraiser's eyes widened as he looked at the red blazing poison sac in his hand. A red blazing spider at the pinnacle of 1 aperture. The elven appraiser raised his head to look at Mo Xiao Bai, his heart trembling. This young man had actually killed a leader of the same level as him. So strong? Mo Xiao Bai saw the elven appraiser's gaze and smiled at him. He had expended a great deal of effort to kill this red blazing spider. After killing it, he himself had suffered heavy injuries. If it wasn't for the breath of life's recovery effect, he probably would have called for help. The elven appraiser. He lowered his head quietly and recorded it on the instrument. 5,000 points. On the other side, the male barbarian appraiser was also intoxicated by the medicinal herbs. Is this a scorched earth stalk? Of the rare ones is this of the scorched scork? My god of the world of the flower of the 5,000 points. The man's cultivation was already at the 3rd aperture. He was considered an experienced herb appraiser and had seen herbs of higher grade. However, he had never seen a kid with only 1 orifice being able to find so many rare-ranked and rarely ranked herbs in a trial. He could not help but look at Mo Xiao Bai. Could this student be a herb gatherer? Moreover, his herb-seeking skill level was probably not low, right? At this moment, the elven appraiser on the side suddenly let out a cry of disbelief. This is impossible. This exclamation attracted the attention of everyone in the square. At this moment, the elven appraiser was holding a pair of dark red demon horns in his hand. He suddenly raised his head and looked at Mo Xiao Bai. These are the horns of a lava hound? And a rank 2 level 1 leader lava hound? Once this was said, the atmosphere in the square stagnated. Then, everyone was in an uproar. What? A rank 2 leader lava hound? Other than the examinees and Su Du who already knew the situation, all the examinees and appraisers who came to watch were stunned. They widened their eyes and looked at Mo Xiao Bai in disbelief. This guy killed a rank 2 leader? What kind of joke is this? This is impossible. He is only at the pinnacle of 1 aperture. Even if he killed a magical beast of a higher level, he should be strong enough to kill a normal magical beast. Facing a rank 2 leader magical beast, he should be able to escape. How can he kill it? How can he kill it? Is there a mistake? There must be a mistake. The surrounding examinees were in an uproar. No one believed this was real. Among the barbarian brothers who were talking previously, the younger barbarian looked as if he had been struck by lightning. He widened his eyes and turned to look at his elder brother whom he was proud of. He was shocked to find that his elder brother's expression was bitter and unwilling. His mind went blank. He opened his mouth and could not help but ask, "Brother, did you already know? Is this for real?" When the barbarian brother heard his brother's question, the corner of his mouth twitched. Then, he nodded with some difficulty and smiled bitterly. "Not only me, but the guys who just came back also know. We saw him kill the lava demon hound with our own eyes." Hiss, after hearing the elder barbarian's explanation, not only the younger barbarian, but even the examinees who were listening at the side were shocked and took in a deep breath. They looked at Mo Xiao Bai again, and could not help but swallow their saliva. Their eyes were filled with respect. This was a super-powerful person who could even kill a rank 2 evil demon leader. Really? He really killed it? The younger barbarian was so shocked that his voice changed. Yes. The elder barbarian nodded. He was more unlucky. When he charged at the beginning, he was severely affected by the void energy. He was furious and charged at the front. He did not care about Mo Xiao Bai's reminder at all. In the end, under the lava hound's lava concealment, he was one of the first to fall. In the later battle, he watched as the lava hound fell to the ground and was paralyzed. Then, it was killed by Mo Xiao Bai. This made him feel very bitter. This kind of killing method, he could do it too. It was not only him. Perhaps everyone was unconvinced. Mo Xiao Bai's strength was there. It could be seen from the extraordinary materials he took out from the demon beast's head that he was much stronger than most of them. But this difference in strength was not unimaginable. It was also not enough for Mo Xiao Bai to kill the lava hound. From their point of view, this was only because Mo Xiao Bai was too lucky. But the truth was the truth. They could not refute it. Even if they were unconvinced, even if they felt bitter, they could only endure it. After all, when they entered the Big Three, they would have the chance to prove themselves. They would prove that the gap between them and Mo Xiao Bai was very small. They might even be able to catch up with Mo Xiao Bai in the future. Chapter 71. Other than a small number of examinees who had received confirmation from their friends and family, most of the examinees were doubting whether the appraiser had made a mistake. At this moment, Su Du spoke. The appraiser did not make a mistake. Mo Xiao Bai did indeed kill a rank 2 lava demon hound. Continue. What? There was no mistake? Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at the person in charge of the first cry's trial in disbelief. They realized that none of the appraisers refuted the appraiser. At this moment, everyone's hearts trembled. Even the appraisers did not refute the appraiser. It was obvious that Mo Xiao Bai had really killed a rank 2 demon hound. But how did he do it? Everyone's mind was filled with question marks. Among the examinees, Lu Xiaofei and the fat rabbit person were both dumbfounded. No matter how strong Mo Xiao Bai is, he can't be this strong, right? Lu Xiaofei stared at Mo Xiao Bai with his eyes wide open. Suddenly, he felt that Mo Xiao Bai had become extremely tall in his eyes. He felt a huge pressure in his heart. But even Su Du and the other appraisers did not refute it. Looks like it's true. The fat rabbit person's voice was trembling. The two of them looked at each other as they recalled how they had mocked Mo Xiao Bai. They felt bitter. After hearing Su Du's words, the appraisers regained their senses and continued to register the point. The male elf appraiser looked at Mo Xiao Bai. His eyes were still filled with shock. He then lowered his head to register. Rank 2 Rank 1 Demon Hound, Lava Demon Hound. Points. 100,000. He swallowed his saliva and entered the numbers into the machine. When Mo Xiao Bai heard this, he was overjoyed. The examinee with the highest points only had a little over 20,000 points. His points for this round was almost 5 times that of the first place. He wondered how many points Yan Shui and Mu Forest had. Mo Xiao Bai's gaze swept across Yan Shui and Mu Forest. The registration of points continued. After a while, the appraisers finished their registration one after another and tallied up the point. Li Xiaoqin, total points, 14,640. Nan Fengqin, total points, 15,500. One by one, the scores of the candidates were tabulated. Everyone was waiting for the final score of Yan Shui, Mu Forest and Mo Xiao Bai. Yan Shui, total points 146,823. Hua, hearing that Yan Shui had a total of 140,000 points, everyone was in an uproar. That's terrifying. He actually has 140,000 points. I only have 1,400 points. Yan Shui's points are 100 times more than mine. I'm about to cry. Don't say any more. I'm already crying. I only have 22 points. While everyone was talking, the total points of the Wood Forest had been tallied up. Wood Forest, 141,800 points. It was another 140,000 points. Young Master Mu is also very strong. He also has 140,000 points. Unfortunately, he's still 5,000 points short of Yan Shui. Yan Shui is still better. Hearing that his total points were lower than Yan Shui's, Wood Forest frowned and felt a little disappointed. 5,000 points. Wood Forest recalled that Mo Xiaobai had mentioned that he had worked with Yan Shui to kill the black scale blazing salamander. If he had killed the black scale blazing salamander, then his points would have surpassed Yan Shui's. TSK. Wood Forest glanced at Mo Xiaobai with some bitterness. On the other hand, Yan Shui's eyes flashed when she heard Wood Forest's points. Then, she turned to look in Mo Xiaobai's direction. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai's appraiser had finished recording the point. The two of them tallied up the total points and looked at each other with shock in their eyes. Then, the male elf took a deep breath and uploaded Mo Xiaobai's points. Mo Xiaobai total points, 218,888. Seeing Mo Xiaobai's points, the atmosphere fell silent for a moment. Then, the crowd began to clamor. What the F***, 210,000 points. Is this F*** king serious? Isn't this too much? More than 70,000 points higher than Yan Shui and Wood Forest? Even Mo Xiaobai couldn't help but be stunned when he saw his points. My points are that high? Mo Xiaobai was not even sure if he could get first place. After all, Yan Shui and Wood Forest had already killed the leaders of the magical beasts from the beginning. He had been idling for half of the time. In his opinion, even with the Lava Hound's points, he would at most be slightly higher than Yan Shui and Wood Forest. Who would have thought that he had unknowingly gained so many points? Not only Mo Xiaobai, but Su Du and the rest also widened their eyes when they saw Mo Xiaobai's point. 218,000 points. The middle-aged merman's eyes flashed with shock. Even if we deduct the 100,000 points from the Lava Hound, he still has 118,000 points. The bald man's eyes widened as he looked at the points on the screen. For a moment, the powerhouses looked at each other with shock in their eyes. After deducting the points from the Lava Hound, Mo Xiaobai's points were lower than Yan Shui and Wood Forest. However, Yan Shui and Wood Forest were super geniuses with 2 chakras, while Mo Xiaobai was only at the peak of 1 chakra. Their cultivation levels were not on the same level, but their points were only 30,000 points apart. The difference was much smaller than they had imagined. Other than Mo Xiaobai, the dragon whelp, who was also at the peak of 1 chakra, only had 20,000 points. Mo Xiaobai's points were 5 times more than his. Instantly, all the powerhouses turned to look at Mo Xiaobai, their eyes green with envy. They had to get such a genius into their school. Yan Shui's eyes widened when she saw Mo Xiaobai's points. She was shocked, unwilling, and at a loss. She turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. After a moment, she looked away and silently lowered her head. Beside her, Wood Forest also widened his eyes. He looked at the points on the screen, then looked at Mo Xiaobai. He opened his mouth, but did not know what to say. The points were too high. Even without the Lava Hound's points, Mo Xiaobai's points were only 30,000 points lower than his? He was at the peak of 1 chakra, while he was at the peak of 2 chakras. The candidates who had just returned to register also looked at the points in a daze. They turned to look at Mo Xiaobai, their eyes flashing with shock and disbelief. The barbarian man, who was unwilling to accept the fact, suddenly realized that the gap between him and Mo Xiaobai was much wider than he had imagined. P.S. Thank you to Immortal King of Helplessness, Cold Qing Wen Fu Hua, Book Friend 201702090106047988, Morong Feixiang, and Napoleon's Underwear for their tips. Thank you all. Chapter 72. After Mo Xiaobai's total points were registered, the results came to an end amidst the shock of the examinees. Su Du's gaze swept across the examinees as he said, "All right, the first prize trial will end here. The first place of the first prize trial is Mo Xiaobai, Second place, Yan Shui. Third place, Mu Sunlin. They are also the top 3 in the college entrance exams. The top 3,000 candidates will be able to enter Akatsuki Academy, Lumen Academy and Spirit Heart Academy. The rest of the candidates will be able to enter the other top 10 academies. Hearing Su-Du's words, the top 3,000 examinees all had excited smiles on their faces. On the other hand, most of the examinees below the top 3,000 had disappointed expressions on their faces. There were even some who could not help but cry. After working so hard for so long, wasn't it all for the 3 best academies in the empire? Who would have thought that it would all be for naught at the last minute? This feeling was too depressing. Mo Xiaobai looked at the first place on the list. That was his name. His heart beat rapidly and a smile appeared on his face. He even felt that it was unreal. A month ago, if someone had told him that he would be the top scorer in the college entrance exams, he would have thought that the person was messing with him. Now, he really was the top scorer. Indeed, Xiao Ran said that he would do well in the college entrance exams. Her words came true. Thinking of Xiao Ran, Mo Xiaobai's smile froze. Su-Du looked at the candidates and took in their expressions. His expression did not change at all. Every first Ming trial, there would always be people who were happy and people who were sad. Reality was cruel. He continued, "All right, after half a month of first Ming trial, I'm sure everyone is tired. Go back to the hotel and rest. Mo Xiaobai, Yan Shui, Mu Forest, Lin Huan, you guys stay." Su-Du called out the names of the top 10 candidates. The other candidates looked at Mo Xiaobai and the rest enviously. The top 10 in the first Ming trial were also the top 10 in the college entrance exams. The empire would have given them generous rewards. Unfortunately, they did not enter the top 10. Everyone turned around and walked towards the square. Soon, only Mo Xiaobai's group of 10 and Su-Du's group of experts were left in the Adventurers Guild's plaza. Su-Du swept his gaze across the 10 people and grinned. "You guys are pretty good. You guys were able to obtain such a high score in such a difficult trial, especially student Mo Xiaobai." He glanced at Mo Xiaobai and nodded. "Not bad indeed, whether in terms of strength or luck." Mo Xiaobai was a little embarrassed by the compliment. He smiled and said, "Senior Su, you flatter me." Su-Do smiled. "All right, I'm sure you all know the reason why I kept you all here. The Empire's Parliament has generous rewards for the top 10 candidates." Mo Xiaobai and the others all had expectant looks on their faces, while Yan Shui, Mu Forest and the others all had calm looks on their faces. In the top 10, most of the examinees came from well-off families, so they had seen quite a few good things. Su-Do waved his right hand and a total of 10 items appeared in the air. These items included origin skill crystals, equipment, weapons, and some items with special abilities. These items all flashed with light, and the worst was rare. There were 3 items that flashed with a purple light, indicating that they were rare items. Mo Xiaobai, choose one first. Mo Xiaobai walked forward and immediately eliminated the rare items, setting his gaze on the 3 rare items. Of these 3 items, one was an origin skill crystal, one was a crimson halberd, and the last was a special item. This special item was a circular insignia about 5 centimeters in diameter. It was completely white and neither gold nor wood, and there was a golden sword engraved on the insignia. Mo Xiaobai first looked at the origin skill crystal and asked, "Senior Su, can I take a look at this origin skill crystal first?" Su-Do nodded. Of course. Mo Xiaobai took the origin skill crystal and placed it on his forehead, looking at its description. Then, he put the origin skill crystal back with some disappointment. This was an origin skill called Frozen Heart. It could allow a person to obtain a stronger frost energy for a short period of time. First, one needed to have frost energy. Mo Xiaobai couldn't use it. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the crimson halberd. Su-Do introduced, "This flaming halberd is a rare rank 2 heavenly cast weapon. It can greatly increase one's strength and endurance, and it also contains the power of flames. When origin power is channeled into the halberd, it can carry a certain amount of flame attacks. You can use it even if you don't have an innate talent for controlling flames. When Mo Xiaobai heard this, he was a bit tempted. Although he could still use the demon hound's spine, it was still a rare rank 1 heavenly cast weapon. It couldn't compare to a rare rank 2 heavenly cast weapon. Moreover, he was about to break through to rank 2. With this weapon, once he broke through to rank 2, his combat strength would greatly increase. However, he wasn't very familiar with using the halberd, so he needed to buy an origin skill crystal for the halberd. Mo Xiaobai didn't make a decision immediately. He looked at the third item, the white emblem. What's this? Su Do smiled and said, the Holy Light Judgment Emblem. It's very effective against demons. After pouring origin power into it, it can release an elementary Holy Light Judgment. As long as a demon doesn't exceed rank 3, they will be heavily injured. Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. It's that good. He was pleasantly surprised and said without even thinking, I choose the Holy Light Judgment Emblem. If it could be used by demons under rank 3, then with his strength, as long as he could find a rank 3 demon with a dazzling red glow, his gains wouldn't be any worse than the rank 2 flaming halberd, right? Haha, a wise choice. Su Do grinned and waved his hand. The white emblem floated towards Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai caught the emblem and thanked Su Do with a smile. Okay, Yan Shui, you choose. Mo Xiaobai walked back and brushed past Yan Shui. Just as Mo Xiaobai had guessed, Yan Shui didn't even think about it after looking at the Frozen Heart Origin skill and directly chose the Origin skill crystal. Wood Forest could only bitterly choose the flaming halberd that didn't suit him too well. However, it was still a rare rank 2 heavenly cast item. It wouldn't be a problem to sell it at the auction house or directly exchange it for a weapon. After Mo Xiaobai's group of 3 finished choosing, the other 7 also stepped forward to choose their own rewards. Although it was only a rare item, it was already quite good. Everyone's faces revealed a trace of a smile. After everyone had chosen their rewards, Su Do smiled and said, apart from the rewards, there are also origin crystals. First place will receive 5,000 rank 2 origin crystals. Mo Xiaobai was delighted. He was rich. 5,000 rank 2 origin crystals were equivalent to 50,000 rank 1 origin crystals. His origin crystals were being used up too quickly, and he was almost out of them by now. With so many origin crystals, it should be enough for him to cultivate to the 3rd aperture, right? Mo Xiaobai happily accepted the small mountain of rank 2 origin crystals. Second place, 4,000 rank 2 origin crystals. Yan Shui expressionlessly accepted the origin crystals as if she had been rewarded with $1. Third place, 3,000 rank 2 origin crystals. Wood Forest's expression was similar to Yan Shui's. He didn't seem to care at all. The 4th and 5th place received 2,000 rank 2 origin crystals, while the 6th to 10th place received 1,000. Very soon, Su Do finished distributing the origin crystals. He smiled and said, okay, the rewards have been distributed. As for the school selection, just report it in 3 days. After hearing Su Do's words, Mo Xiaobai's group was startled. They then turned to look at the experts beside them and nodded in understanding. Yes. Soon after, Mo Xiaobai's group left the Adventurers Guild's small plaza and walked toward the encampment's plaza. P.S. Apologies, the author has some matters to attend to today, so the update is a bit late. There's one more chapter tonight. Chapter 73. On the way, Mu Forest walked to Mo Xiaobai's side and patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder with a smile. Xiaobai, congratulations. I thought the top scorer would be me or Yan Shui. I didn't expect you to snatch it away. Mo Xiaobai smiled. I didn't expect to become the top scorer either. It's just luck. Mu Forest. His mouth twitched as he looked at Mo Xiaobai enviously. Your luck is too good. After a pause, Mu Forest asked curiously, By the way, student Xiaobai, which school do you plan on going to? Mo Xiaobai thought for a moment before shaking his head. I'm not sure yet. Mu Forest nodded. That's true. With our ranking, the Big Three will probably give us some rewards. Mo Xiaobai nodded. We'll see when the time comes. Although the rewards from the Big Three might not be as good as the rewards from the Empire, it was still better than nothing. Mo Xiaobai couldn't compare to Mu Forest and Yan Shui. He had plenty of resources. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai thought of something. By the way, do you know where I can buy some good body refining medicine? Or if you know some powerful medicine refiners? His breath of life was only at the first level. It would be difficult to raise it to the third level. The fastest way was to use body refining medicine, and the best was still the breath of life medicine. Mu Forest was a disciple of an aristocratic family. He should have some connections in this area. When Mu Sunlin heard this, for some reason, his face froze and his body instinctively trembled. Mo Xiaobai was puzzled. What's wrong? Mu Forest laughed dryly. Haha, nothing. I just thought of something from the past. He changed the topic and asked, Why are you looking for a medicine refiner? Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, I need some medicine for my cultivation. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Mu Forest was silent for a moment, then said, If we're talking about alchemists, I do know of a very powerful one. Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. The Mu Forest was a direct descendant of the Mu clan. If even he said that this alchemist was very powerful, then it would seem that he was really out of the ordinary. He hurriedly asked, Where is that alchemist? What's his name? Seeing Mo Xiaobai's excited expression, Mu Forest's expression became a little strange. Xiaobai, don't be anxious. That alchemist has a strange personality. I can't be sure that she will definitely help you refine it. When Mo Xiaobai heard this, he did not take it to heart. Wasn't it normal for top-notch technical talents like alchemists and blacksmiths to have strange personalities? He smiled and said, It's fine. Tell me who it is first. I'll go ask when the time comes. Even if she doesn't help, it's not your fault. Mu Forest nodded. That alchemist is a fourth-year student at Akatsuki Academy. Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened, and he looked at Mu Forest strangely. A student? Are you kidding me? This did not match the image of a white-bearded grandpa in his mind. Why would I lie to you? Maybe she can't refine high-level medicine, but as long as she can refine low-level medicine, at least 50% of them are flawless. Mo Xiaobai's pupils contracted. Flawless? 50%? No wonder Mu Forest said that this alchemist was very powerful. This was no longer a question of whether she was powerful or not, right? She was a monster, right? What's his name? Mo Xiaobai was a little expectant. If it was this alchemist, he should have quite a few high-level body refining medicines, right? Maybe he could even refine the breath of life medicine? Mu Forest coughed dryly. Her name is Natsuki. Mo Xiaobai was taken aback, and his expression was a little strange. A woman? Wait, her surname is Mu? Mo Xiaobai's expression became even more strange. Mu Forest smiled. She's my sister. She's the genius alchemist of our Mu family. Mo Xiaobai. He smiled and said, Since she's your sister, ask her to refine some medicine for me. Don't worry, I'll pay for it. Mu Forest's mouth twitched and he shook his head. No, didn't I tell you? My sister has a very strange personality. It's useless for me to ask her. Don't push me into the fire pit. Mo Xiaobai saw the fear on Mu Forest's face and his heart sank. He was a little worried. Then I'll be fine if I go, right? Mu Forest smiled. Don't worry, although my sister has a strange personality, she won't force people to do anything. At most, she won't agree to help you. Mo Xiaobai nodded and relaxed. However, he felt that Mu Forest's smile was a little strange. Even so, Mo Xiaobai still wanted to go and take a look. Maybe he could get the breath of life medicine right away? If that didn't work, he could use other body refining medicines as a replacement first. If not, he could work hard to earn money and go to the big city's auction house to see if there were any. Mo Xiaobai smiled. Thanks, I'll go find your sister myself. Mu Forest nodded. Okay. As they spoke, they arrived at the encampment square. After passing through the portal, Mo Xiaobai and the rest returned to the Adventure Center of Planet Azure. The staff and guards in the Adventure Center were curious when they saw Mo Xiaobai and the rest. After all, they were in the top 10 this time. If they didn't die in the future, they would definitely be strong. The few of them walked out of the Adventure Center. The transport vehicle was already waiting outside. Mo Xiaobai realized that the top 10 candidates were not in the same hotel as him. He went to the transport vehicle heading to Sichuan Hotel alone. As soon as he got on the vehicle, the candidates waiting in the vehicle all looked over with envy and curiosity. The girls looked at Mo Xiaobai with watery eyes. Some of them even wanted to get closer to him. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the vehicle and realized that Lu Xiaofei and the fat rabbit person were there too. The two of them had their heads lowered and didn't dare to look at Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai noticed that there was a seat beside them and walked over to sit down. As soon as he sat down, Lu Xiaofei and the fat rabbit person trembled and sweat dripped from their foreheads. The two of them fell silent and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Mo Xiaobai didn't mind. He leaned against the chair and closed his eyes to rest. The half a month of continuous hardship void domain trial had exhausted him physically and mentally. After Mo Xiaobai got on the vehicle, all the candidates had returned and the vehicle started moving. Along the way, the girls wanted to strike up a conversation with Mo Xiaobai. However, they realized that Mo Xiaobai's eyes were closed, so they had to give up. Soon, the vehicle arrived at Sichuan Hotel. Mo Xiaobai slowly opened his eyes. After resting for a while, he felt much better. At the entrance of Sichuan Hotel, many heads of education and the elders of the candidates were waiting anxiously. Among them was Head Lu. His hairstyle was still neat and tidy, but there was a hint of anxiety on his originally expressionless face. The candidates in the transport vehicle alighted one by one. After alighting, they were quickly pulled away by their elders and asked about the situation. Soon, Mo Xiaobai alighted from the vehicle. Head Lu's eyes lit up. He strode forward and grabbed Mo Xiaobai's shoulder to pull him away. He looked at Mo Xiaobai and said in a gentle voice, "You must be tired after so many days of trial, right? Let's go back first. I've already ordered some food. Have a good meal, then take a bath and sleep." Mo Xiaobai's heart warmed when he heard this. He nodded. "Thank you, Head Lu. Ha ha ha, you're welcome. I'm still waiting for you to bring honor to Pingxi Town." At this point, Head Lu looked at Mo Xiaobai anxiously and expectantly. "How was it? Did you pass? P.S. Thank you to Summer Palace, Prince Tianbao, Spud and Lil P, Too Much Tax, Too Little Sleep, and Heaven's Fate for their tips, thank you all." Chapter 74. Mo Xiaobai looked at Mansion Head Lu's anxious expression and smiled to himself. He nodded. "Yes, I did." Mansion Head Lu's eyes widened slightly when he heard Mo Xiaobai's words. A bright smile appeared on his originally expressionless face. He was so excited that his face turned red. He patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder hard. "Good. Good. Good. It's good that you made it. Ah." He was all smiles. "Xiaobai, you've brought glory to Pingxi Town. Old Mo is so lucky to have a son like you." Mo Xiaobai looked at the excited Mansion Head Lu and coughed lightly. "Mansion Head Lu, I came in first place. I'm the top scorer." Mansion Head Lu held his breath when he heard this. He looked at Mo Xiaobai in a daze. The corner of his mouth twitched. What did you say?" He looked at Emo Xiao Bai with a strange expression and thought to himself, could it be that he's so excited about getting into the big three that he's lost his mind? Emo Xiao Bai didn't think much of it when he saw Mansion Head Lu's look of disbelief. After all, when he first entered the void domain, his cultivation was only at 1 apertured level 5. Now that he said he was the top scorer, even he wouldn't believe it if he was Mansion Head Lu. He smiled and said, I'm really the top scorer. Mansion Head Lu, look at my cultivation now. I'm already at the peak of 1 apertured level. Mansion Head Lu came back to his senses when he heard Emo Xiao Bai's words. He sensed Emo Xiao Bai's cultivation and his eyes widened in shock. You're really at the peak of 1 apertured level? How is this possible? It's only been half a month since you entered the blazing wilderness. How did you advance from 1 apertured level 5 to the peak of 1 apertured level? Emo Xiao Bai explained, I was lucky. I found an origin fruit in the blazing wilderness. After eating it, I advanced to the peak of 1 apertured level. Mansion Head Lu. He was dumbfounded. How could that be? However, even if you've reached the pinnacle of 1 aperture, there are 2 super geniuses with 2 apertures among the candidates this time. How can you get first place? Mansion Head Lu still didn't believe him. Are you kidding me? But to be able to get into one of the big 3 is indeed a pleasant surprise. When Emo Xiao Bai saw how stubborn Mansion Head Lu was, he felt a little helpless. He didn't bother to explain. In any case, the college entrance exam rankings should be out soon. You'll know when the time comes. As the 2 of them spoke, they had already returned to their room. The table in the main hall was filled with delicious food. It was obvious that Residence Head Lu had prepared this for Emo Xiao Bai. Head Lu smiled and patted Emo Xiao Bai's shoulder. You've worked hard for so long. Have a good meal and then go and rest. After you choose your school, we'll go back and deliver this good news. Yes. Emo Xiao Bai nodded. In the center of Yanggu City, in a suite on the top floor of Yanggu Hotel. The suite was very luxurious. The floor was covered with a soft, light red carpet. The carpet emitted a constant warm aura. All the furniture was made of Qilin wood, which was used to clear one's mind. The crystal chandelier on the ceiling was like a lighthouse, flashing with a light white glow. This was the light produced by the light stone powder, which could eliminate fatigue. At this moment, Mu Forest had already taken a bath and changed into a set of home clothes made of green silk. His green hair was still slightly wet. His face was fair and delicate, and he looked incomparably handsome. He leaned against the chair, holding a white translucent communication crystal in his hand. His face was a little nervous. At this moment, the white light in the communication crystal flashed. Mu Forest instinctively tensed his body and sat up straight. He took a deep breath and then merged his origin power into the crystal. Suddenly, a somewhat lazy and soft voice came from the crystal. Forest, how was the trial? Mu Forest coughed softly and said, I got 3rd place. The person on the other end of the communication crystal did not seem to care about Mu Forest's ranking at all. The previous question seemed to be just a casual one. Mu Forest could not help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Sister, aren't you going to ask me who got 1st and 2nd place? Then who got 1st and 2nd place? The lazy and soft voice on the other end sounded a little hollow, as if she was in a trance. Mu Forest was speechless. He rubbed his forehead helplessly. His sister must be refining medicine again. He did not mind and said, The 2nd place is Yen Shui, the eldest daughter of the Yen clan. The 1st place is a student from Pingxi town. Hearing this, the lazy and soft voice seemed to fluctuate a little. At the same time, there was an explosion and the sound of bottles breaking. Mu Forest seemed to be used to this and did not say anything. After a moment, the lazy and soft voice sounded again. Failed again. The 1st place this time is from a town? Yes. Mu Forest nodded. At this point, Mu Forest thought of something and had a strange expression on his face. Mo Xiaobai's luck is really amazing. Luck? The lazy, soft, and somewhat hollow voice sounded again. Yes, sister, you don't know. When I just came back, I looked up that guy's information. When he first entered the blazing wilderness, he was only at one apertured level 5. Then, he found a void treasure in the blazing wilderness. There was an origin fruit inside, and he immediately soared to the peak of one apertured level. Don't you think it's ridiculous? After Mu Forest finished speaking, there was another explosion on the other end. After a moment, the lazy and soft voice sounded again. It is quite ridiculous. That's not even the most ridiculous thing. The most ridiculous thing was that we met 3 magical beast leaders at the very end. Yan Shui, that guy, and I each held one of them back. In the end, there was a sudden earthquake. The magical beast leader that was chasing that guy actually stepped into a crack and broke all the bones in its body. Couldn't even move and was then killed by that guy. Speaking of this, Mu Forest was still a little dumbfounded. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would have thought it was a joke. If it wasn't for the points of that magical beast leader, Yan Shui would have been first this time. That lazy and soft voice finally had a hint of surprise in it. This luck is indeed good. Right? I think so too. It's too much. Mu Forest seemed to have found a bosom friend. Then, he paused. However, that guy is very strong. If we were at the same level, I might not be his match. You've made me curious. A voice sounded from the other end of the communication crystal. When Mu Sunlin heard this, he smiled and said, That's right, big sister, Little White is planning to find an alchemist to refine medicine for him. I told him about you. Maybe he will look for you after some time. Medicine refinement? The voice on the other end of the communication crystal raised a few notches. Then I'm looking forward to it. It was as if the owner of the voice on the other end of the communication was in high spirits at the mention of medicine refinement. Hearing this excited voice, Mu Forest instinctively felt his scalp go numb. Big sister, take it easy. Xiaobai saved your little brother's life. If you can, it's best if you help him for free. For free? We'll talk about it when the time comes. The lazy and soft voice sounded again. Mu Forest. He secretly prayed for Xiaobai Mo in his heart. By the way, when are you coming to Akatsuki? At this moment, the voice on the other end of the communication crystal sounded again, interrupting Mu Forest's prayer. The hair on his back stood up, and there was a hint of nervousness on his face. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead. That, big sister, I've chosen the Spiritual Heart Academy. Why? The lazy and soft voice was a little puzzled. Haha, because the Spiritual Heart Academy has a void territory in the Canyon of Storms. I think that's more suitable for me. The lazy and soft voice was silent for a moment, then nodded. All right then. The nervousness on Mu Forest's face slowly disappeared, and he heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 75. In the center of Yanggu City, on the top floor of a shopping mall not far from Yanggu Hotel, Yan Shui opened the door to her room and walked in. After closing the door, she leaned against the door and stared blankly into space. An expression of disappointment and indignation gradually appeared on her expressionless face. Her eyes reddened as she bit her lip and murmured to herself, I actually lost. The Yen family had placed high hopes on her ever since she was a child, but she had actually lost to a classmate from a small town. Yan Shui felt a throbbing pain in her stomach, and her entire body felt weak and powerless. She slowly slid down the door and sat down on the ground, burying her face in her arms. The atmosphere in the room became silent. Right at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Yan Shui's body trembled as she abruptly raised her head. She rubbed her reddened eyes and heaved a sigh of relief to calm herself down before standing up and opening the door. Outside the door stood a rabbit woman with long black hair. This rabbit woman appeared to be around 30 years of age. Her temperament was graceful and mature, and she had a pair of black rabbit ears on her head. After seeing the rabbit-human girl, Yen Shui's eyes widened. Her usually expressionless face seemed to be blooming with sunshine as she revealed a bright smile. "Grandma, what are you doing here?" she called out softly before throwing herself into the rabbit woman's arms like a little girl. This was Yen Shui's grandmother, Gao Yueling. Gao Yueling's deep black eyes seemed to be filled with age. She gently hugged Yen Shui and stroked Yen Shui's short hair with a benevolent smile on her face. "My little Shui's trial has ended today, so as her grandmother, I have to come and visit, right? This trial lasted for half a month, so you must be tired, right? My little Shui has worked hard." Yen Shui giggled. "That's nothing." Gao Yueling laughed heartily. "How was it? My little Shui should be stronger than that kid from the Mu family, so she should be number one, right?" Hearing Gao Yueling's words, the smile on Yen Shui's face froze and her body trembled. Gao Yueling sensed Yen Shui's abnormality, and a trace of surprise flashed across her eyes. Then, she smiled and continued, "Let's go in first. Today, Grandma made you your favorite strawberry cake." The two of them entered the room. On one side of the hall was a huge floor-to-ceiling window. Sunlight shone in through the window, making the air seem to shimmer with light. An ice-blue coffee table was placed in the huge living room. The coffee table seemed to be overflowing with cold air. Beside the coffee table was a sofa of the same color. The two of them sat down on the sofa. Yen Shui watched as Gao Yueling took out a pink cake and fiddled with it. She looked a little disappointed. "Grandma, I only got second place this time." When Gao Yueling heard Yen Shui's words, she was not surprised at all. She cut a small piece of cake and handed it to Yen Shui. She still had a gentle smile on her face. Grandma guessed it. "You little girl, are you crying?" When Yen Shui saw Gao Yueling's smile, she pursed her lips and took a small bite of the cake. Then, she said softly, "I'm not crying." Gao Yueling did not mind. She smiled and said, "Come and tell Grandma. Is that kid from the Mu family better than our Xiao Shui?" When Yen Shui heard this, she put down the cake in her hand and said softly, "It's not Mu Forest." When she heard this, Gao Yueling was taken aback. She was a little confused. "This time, the only candidates with 2 apertures are the two of you, right?" Yen Shui's face reddened in embarrassment. "The first place is a guy at the peak of 1 aperture." Gao Yueling was speechless. She looked at Yen Shui with a strange expression. Then, she asked curiously, "What's going on? Is he a genius?" When Yen Shui heard this, she recalled Mo Xiaobai's appearance. She said unhappily, "He's not a genius. It's just that guy's luck is inhuman." As she said this, she told Gao Yueling about the previous situation as if she was complaining. After that, she said with some grievance, "If it wasn't for the points of the second-level demonic beast at the end, the first place would have been mine." When Gao Yueling saw Yen Shui's aggrieved look, she smiled kindly and rubbed Yen Shui's short hair. Then, she said, "Grandma didn't expect that there would be someone with such good luck. Moreover, even our Xiao Shui was defeated." When Yen Shui heard this, her eyes lit up. She looked determined. "I'll get first place next time." As she said this, she took a big bite of the cake. The corner of her mouth was stained with cream. Gao Yueling looked at Yen Shui's determined look, and shook her head slightly. Then, she smiled and said, "You're giving yourself too much pressure. Grandma just wants you to cultivate normally and live a good life." As she said this, she sighed softly. "Your grandfather and parents have high expectations of you." The higher the expectations of Yen Shui, the greater the pressure on Yen Shui. When Yen Shui heard this, she paused and shook her head. "I'm a member of the Yen family. How can I embarrass you?" Gao Yueling was momentarily speechless. Then, she said softly, "By the way, I'm afraid your grandfather won't be able to make it back in time for your birthday. There are strange movements in the ice-bone abyss again. He has to stand guard there." Yen Shui was taken aback. She was a little disappointed, but she still nodded. Also, there are signs of a blood fiend riot in the Blood Wilderness. The desolate Blood Army is under a lot of pressure. Your father and mother also have to stand guard at the desolate Blood Army. When she heard this, Yen Shui's eyes widened. A blood fiend riot? Isn't that? Gao Yueling's expression was grave. She nodded. The blood tide is coming. It should be in the next few years. Yen Shui's heart sank. Every blood tide was a disaster, and the desolate Blood Army would suffer heavy casualties during each blood tide. Yen Shui's expression was grave as she said firmly, I have to cultivate properly. When I enter the Blood Wilderness in the future, I have to find out what caused the blood tide. Gao Yueling patted Yen Shui's head with a smile. Cultivate properly, but you have to take care of your body. Let's go out for a stroll on your birthday. It'll be a good chance for you to relax. Yen Shui stuck out her tongue. Okay, Grandma. I'm going to catch dolls. No problem. At this point, the corners of Gao Yueling's mouth curled up, revealing a trace of a smile. But speaking of which, I'm quite interested in that little fellow called Mo Xiaobai. This is the first time our Xiaoxue has lost to a boy. Yen Shui's body stiffened. Grandma, what are you thinking? Ha ha. After Mo Xiaobai had a good meal, he went back to his room and fell asleep. He hadn't slept well for the past half a month. Fortunately, he was still young. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take it. When he woke up, Mo Xiaobai looked at the time and realized that it was already the next morning. He stretched his back and felt his whole body relax. Mo Xiaobai walked out of his room. Before he could react, Manor Head Lu ran to his side and grabbed his shoulder with an extremely excited expression. Xiaobai, you're first place. You're the top scorer. Manor Head Lu's voice was trembling. Seeing how excited Manor Head Lu was, Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes speechlessly. I already told you yesterday. In the end, Manor Head Lu still didn't believe him yesterday. Manor Head Lu didn't care about Mo Xiaobai's ridicule at all. He said excitedly, You're the top scorer. Xiaobai, you're amazing. You've really brought honor to Pingxi Town. Your parents will definitely be very happy to hear this news. Although Mo Xiaobai knew that Manor Head Lu would be excited, he didn't expect him to be this excited. Seeing Manor Head Lu's flushed face, Mo Xiaobai felt a headache coming on. At this moment there was a knock on the door. Manor Head Lu was pulled back to reality. He realized that he had lost his composure. He coughed awkwardly, stood up straight, and tidied up his appearance. Maybe a teacher from the Big Three is looking for you. I'll go open the door. With that, he dashed towards the door, his footsteps light and quick. Chapter 76. Soon enough, Head Lu walked in with a bald man. Mo Xiaobai had seen this bald man yesterday. He was one of the people in charge of the first cries trials. The moment the bald man saw Mo Xiaobai, the corners of his mouth cracked open into a smile. The hideous scar on his face wriggled like a centipede. Student Mo Xiaobai, I'm a teacher from Lumen Academy, Wang Leking. Congratulations on becoming the top scorer of this year's college entrance exam. Mo Xiaobai hurriedly said, Thank you, Teacher Wang. You haven't decided which academy to go to, right? Not yet. Wang Leking nodded and smiled. I won't say anything else. Student Mo Xiaobai, I've just applied for a scholarship for you. If you choose Lumen Academy, you'll receive 30,000 academic credits in one go. I can see that you have a strong physical talent. There are many teachers in our academy with physical talents, and I'm one of them. I think our academy is the most suitable for you. After hearing about the scholarship, Head Lu's eyes widened in shock. 30,000 academic credits? That high? Wang Leking grinned. Student Mo Xiaobai is worthy of this scholarship. Head Lu glanced at Mo Xiaobai. Just this amount of academic credits was enough to let him feel the weight of Mo Xiaobai's title as the top scorer. Emo Xiaobai asked curiously, "What are academic credits?" He hadn't entered an advanced Origin Academy yet, so he didn't know what academic credits were used for. Wang Lechting explained, academic credits have a wide range of uses in the academy. Students need academic credits to trade with each other, to buy items from the academy, to use the academy's training facilities, to consult teachers individually, etc. Without academic credits, it would be difficult to move around in the Origin Academy. Academic credits are equivalent to currency in the Origin Academy. Emo Xiaobai was surprised. It's that important? Manor Head Lu nodded. Yes, the credit system of all the Origin Power Academies is linked together. 30,000 credits is equivalent to 30,000 Origin crystals. Moreover, it's even more precious than Origin crystals. I remember I didn't even obtain 30,000 credits when I was in my 3rd year. My grades back then were considered above average in our academy. Comparisons were odious indeed. Mansion Head Lu's heart ached. When Wang Lechting heard Mansion Head Lu's sad words, the corners of his mouth couldn't help twitching. He smiled and said, "Student Emo Xiaobai, I'm sure you've heard Brother Lu's words. This is the sincerity of the Lumen Academy." Emo Xiaobai was slightly tempted. According to Master Lu and Teacher Wang's explanation, although this scholarship couldn't be compared to the prize given to the top scorer of the college entrance examination, it wasn't bad either. However, he did not make a choice on the spot. The teachers from the other 2 academies hadn't arrived yet, so he decided to wait a little longer. At the thought of this, Emo Xiaobai smiled at Wang Lechting and said, "Teacher, can I think about it first before making a decision?" Wang Lechting grinned. "No problem, you can think about it first. I won't disturb you then." "Teacher, I'll send you out." After sending Wang Lechting off, Mansion Head Lu looked at Emo Xiaobai excitedly. "Xiaobai, it seems you're highly valued by the Lumen Academy. If possible, you should choose Lumen when the time comes. There's also Meteor Valley and Reverend Ming Mountain Range. It's said that they're all high-grade void domains and produce items suitable for physical prodigies. It's quite suitable for you." Emo Xiaobai saw Mansion Head Lu's expression and felt that he was even more excited than himself. He smiled and said, "Amen, don't worry Mansion Head Lu, I know what to do. Let's see how the other 2 academies are doing." Because the selection was just a few days away, the teachers from the other 3 academies were also quite anxious. Not long after, the 2nd teacher came. This time, it was the mermaid teacher that Emo Xiaobai was familiar with. She had gray curly hair and obvious wrinkles on her head. The mermaid teacher walked in and smiled warmly at Emo Xiaobai. "Emo Xiaobai, I knew you were extraordinary the last time I saw you. But I didn't expect you to surpass the 2 chakra students Yan Shui and Mu Lin to become the top scholar. You really surprised me." "Teacher, you flatter me." Emo Xiaobai was a little embarrassed. "Let me introduce myself. I'm a teacher from the Spiritual Heart Academy, Lin Jun." Then, he looked around. "Have the other teachers been here?" "Mr. Wang from the Lumen Academy has already been here." Lin Jun heard this and nodded lightly. He didn't ask about the rewards from the Lumen Academy to avoid making things awkward. He smiled and said, "Since Mr. Wang has already been here, I'll tell you about the scholarship from the Spiritual Heart Academy. If you choose our Spiritual Heart Academy, we will give you a one-time scholarship of 20,000 credit. At the same time, as long as you can maintain the first place in your grade, you will receive an additional 15,000 credits as a reward. You will also receive 3 free chances to enter Storm Canyon. The Canyon of Storms is the void territory of the Spiritual Heart Academy. You need 1,000 credits to enter." Hearing this, Emo Xiaobai calculated in his heart. If he could maintain first place in the school year test, then wouldn't he be able to obtain 38,000 credits? This was more worth it than staying in the Lumen Academy. Of course, the Lumen Academy gave him the scholarship directly and there was no risk. If he chose the Spiritual Heart Academy and didn't get first place in the year, He would only be left with 20,000 credit. That would be a huge loss. Mo Xiaobai still didn't make a choice. After exchanging some pleasantries with Mr. Lin Jun, he sent him out. Soon, the teacher from the Akatsuki Academy arrived. It was the gray-haired old elf who always had a smile on his face. Mo Xiaobai, I'm a teacher from the Akatsuki Academy, Lu Jingshan. Hello, Mr. Lu. The old elf nodded and smiled. I'm sure the teachers from the other two academies have already been here? Then I won't beat around the bush. This time, the scholarship from the Akatsuki Academy is like this. As long as you choose to join the Akatsuki Academy, you will receive 20,000 credits and a free chance to enter the Akatsuki Forest. If you obtain first place in the year, you will receive another 20,000 credits and a free chance to enter the Akatsuki Forest. The Akatsuki Forest is our Akatsuki Academy's void domain. There are many items that can be used by geniuses with physical talent. Each entry will cost 1,500 credit. Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai calculated in his mind. If he obtained first place in the year, then his reward would be 43,000 credits? That was 5,000 credits more than the scholarship from the Spirit Heart Academy. Furthermore, with his light, the reward from entering the Akatsuki Forest would be more than just 1,500 credits, right? The real reward should be even higher. Finally, Mo Xiaobai remembered what Mu Shui had said in the forest. His genius pharmacist sister seemed to be in the Akatsuki Academy? For him, increasing the level of his breath of life was something that he should focus on at the moment. He didn't think for long. He raised his head and smiled at Lu Jingshan. Mr. Lu, I've decided. I choose the Akatsuki Academy. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's decisive words, Lu Jingshan was stunned. Are you sure? You don't want to reconsider? Mo Xiaobai nodded. I'm sure. Lu Jingshan smiled. Good, then I'll help you apply. Okay. Ha ha ha, then I won't disturb you. See you at school. Head Lu hurriedly stood up. We'll see you out. After seeing Lu Jingshan off, Head Lu excitedly patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. He was silent for a moment, then sighed softly. The new generation excels the old. I didn't think that you would actually get into the Akatsuki Academy, and even get such a generous scholarship. Mo Xiaobai, was Head Lu originally so unconfident in him? Mo Xiaobai felt a little sad. Head Lu smiled. Okay, since you've chosen a school, let's pack up and prepare to go back. The college entrance exam results will probably be released in a few days. Let's bring this good news back. Okay. Mo Xiaobai nodded. This was the first time he had been away from home for so long. He was a little homesick. Chapter 77. After choosing the Force Academy, Mo Xiaobai and Head Lu packed up their things. The next morning, they took the Force motorcycle back to Pingxi Town and left Yanggu City. Mo Xiaobai originally wanted to ask which school Mu Lin Lin had chosen, but he didn't know his address, so he decided against it. 4 days later, at Pingxi Town Station, Mo Xiaobai and Head Lu walked out of the gate. The glaring sunlight made them squint their eyes. Head Lu smiled and said, I'll send you back first. He hailed a taxi and told the driver to drive to the Anha neighborhood. Not long after, the car stopped at the entrance of the neighborhood. Mo Xiaobai said goodbye to Head Lu and got out of the car. He arrived at the entrance of the neighborhood and looked at the security room. There were 2 security guards sitting there. One of them was a barbarian, the other was a merman. Both of them didn't look very old, probably not even 30 years old. Mo Xiaobai had an impression of them. They were members of the security team. The barbarian security guard was called Lin Wu, and the merman security guard was called Li Qi. He realized that Lin Wu and Li Qi's cultivation were only at 1 aperture level 8. This made Mo Xiaobai sigh. Unknowingly, his cultivation had already surpassed the security team members. Lin Wu and Li Qi were talking when they saw Mo Xiaobai walk in. The two of them were stunned for a moment before they stood up and smiled warmly. Lin Wu said, "Xiao Bai, I heard that you went to participate in the first cries trial. Is it over?" Mo Xiao Bai smiled and nodded. "Yes, it's over." Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Lin Wu and Li Qi immediately revealed curious expressions. Li Qi opened his mouth and asked, "Xiao Bai, how did you do? I heard that the top 3,000 candidates can go to the Big Three. Did you go?" Mo Xiao Bai nodded and said with a smile, "I'm lucky. I'm up." "Really?" Lin Wu and Li Qi both exclaimed. To these two people who were almost 30 years old and only at one aperture level 8, places like the Big Three were simply legends. The geniuses from those places were from two different worlds. They never thought that they would meet such geniuses face to face one day. Both of them were excited. Li Qi said, "Congratulations, Xiao Bai. Commander Mo and Vice Commander Mu will be happy to hear this news." Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, "Yeah." Then, he asked curiously, "Uncle Ning didn't come?" Hearing this, Lin Wu and Li Qi were both stunned. Then, Lin Wu said in disappointment, "Captain Ning resigned." Li Qi sighed, "It's probably because of Rant's matter." Hearing their words, Mo Xiaobai fell silent. Captain Ning was originally a security guard for Little Rant's sake. Now that Little Ran was gone, there was no reason for him to stay here. He nodded and smiled. "Then, Brother Li, I'll go back first and tell my parents the good news." Lin Wu and Li Qi came back to their senses. Warm smiles appeared on their faces again as they nodded at Mo Xiaobai. Go ahead." Mo Xiaobai smiled at the two of them and then entered the neighborhood. Looking at Mo Xiaobai's back, Lin Wu had a silly smile on his face as he scratched his head. "I originally thought that a genius who can enter the Big Three would definitely not care about small characters like us. I didn't expect Xiao Bai to be so easy to talk to." Li Qi rolled his eyes. "That's because it's Xiao Bai. If it were any other geniuses from the Big Three, they wouldn't care about you." "Ha ha ha, that's true." At this moment, Li Qi looked at Mo Xiao Bai's back with some doubt in his eyes. "However, why can't I sense Xiao Bai's cultivation? Could it be that his cultivation is higher than mine?" Lin Wu scratched his head. "That's impossible. Wasn't Xiao Bai only one aperture level 5 when he left? If he surpassed us, wouldn't he be at the peak of one aperture? It's only been half a month. How is that possible? He must have learned some origin skill to hide his aura." Li Qi couldn't help but laugh when he heard Lin Wu's words. "That's true. Even the geniuses of the Big Three can't go from one aperture level 5 to the peak of one aperture in half a month. After Xiao Bai got into the Big Three, I almost thought of him as a god." "Ha ha ha, I think so too." Mo Xiao Bai came to the door of his house, took out his key, and opened it. As soon as he opened the door, Mo Xiao Bai saw a red shadow quickly approaching. It was so fast that even he couldn't see it clearly. Hiss hiss, a hissing sound rang out. Mo Xiao Bai felt his chest being pushed, and he staggered back a step. Only then did he see that Little Red was pointing her head at his chest. Mo Xiao Bai chuckled. "Little Red, I didn't expect you to be the first to welcome me back." He reached out and touched Little Red's bald head. The scarlet fire python's scales were warm and comfortable to touch. Perhaps it was because Mo Xiao Bai had been gone for a long time, but Little Red was very clingy and kept rubbing against him. At this moment a clear voice rang out. "Little Red, what's wrong?" Mu Yuzhu walked out. When she saw Mo Xiao Bai, she was stunned at first, but then she revealed a pleasantly surprised smile. "Xiao Bai, you're back?" As she spoke, she quickly walked over and hugged Mo Xiao Bai. After hugging him for a while, she carefully sized up Mo Xiao Bai. Her heart ached as she said, "Look at you, you're already tanned. The temperature in the blazing wilderness is so high. If I had known, I would have prepared some sunscreen." Mo Xiao Bai. He was defeated by his mother's logic. He wasn't going for a vacation. At this moment, Mo Yu's voice rang out. Isn't it good to be a little tanned? Men are more manly when they're down to earth. Mou was also full of smiles. He walked over to Mo Xiao Bai and patted his shoulder. He was about to speak when his eyes suddenly widened. He looked at Mo Xiao Bai in confusion. The corner of his mouth twitched. What the F***? Xiao Bai, what's up with your cultivation? Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Mu Yuzhu was stunned. Then, she opened her eyes wide and looked at Mo Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai, how did you reach the peak of one aperture? Both of their faces were filled with shock. Before Mo Xiao Bai left, he was only at level 5 of one aperture. It had only been half a month, but he was already at the peak of one aperture? This cultivation speed was a little too frightening. Little Red glanced at the two of them in a very human-like manner. It was as if she was saying, "Did you only realize now?" When Mo Xiao Bai saw Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu's shocked expressions, he smiled and said, "My luck was pretty good. I found another void treasure in the blazing wilderness. There happened to be a primordial fruit inside. After eating it, I reached the peak of one aperture." Mo Yu, Mu Yuzhu, the two of them looked at Mo Xiao Bai's smile. The word, again, easily pierced their hearts. Chapter 78. After a long while, Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu finally recovered from the shock of Mo Xiao Bai's words. Mo Yu pursed his lips, indicating that he didn't want to discuss Mo Xiao Bai's luck any further. He asked expectantly, "Since your cultivation is so high, you must have gotten into the big 3, right?" Mu Yuzhu was also looking forward to it. Yes. Son, did you get into the big 3? Mo Xiao Bai gave them a thumbs up and smiled. Don't you know who your son is? Of course he got in, and he's the top scorer. Mo Yu, Mu Yuzhu, the two of them looked like they didn't believe him. Mo Xiao Bai was very familiar with their expressions. Didn't Residence Head Lu have the same expression? They didn't want to believe that he was the top scorer. Mu Yuzhu rolled her eyes and said, "Look at how cocky you are. But it's good that you got into the big 3. Which school did you choose?" Akatsuki. As for being the top scorer, Mo Xiao Bai had already given up on explaining. After all, they would know that he wasn't joking when the college entrance exam rankings were released in a few days. Akatsuki? Akatsuki is good. It's in our Beiqing district, so it's more convenient to go back and forth. Mo Yu said. Mu Yuzhu nodded in agreement. Then, she smiled and said, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming back? I'll go make you something delicious." Mo Yu said, "Let's go to Little Lin's restaurant today and celebrate Xiao by getting into the big 3. Mu Yuzhu thought about it and felt that it was a good idea. She nodded and said, "All right, let's go out and eat." The flesh and blood of some magical beasts would seep out and become extraordinary flesh and blood. Food made from extraordinary flesh and blood would bring certain benefits to the consumer. The more common ones would temporarily increase the strength of the physical body, increase the efficiency of origin power usage, and so on. The more outstanding ones could permanently increase the strength of a certain degree. Of course, these types of food were rare and very expensive. Other than its practicality, the original food cooked with transcendent flesh was also top-notch. There was only one original food restaurant in Pingxi Town, and the owner's surname was Lin. Most of the powerhouses in Pingxi Town would choose to celebrate there. The restaurant was located in the commercial district near the Adventurers Guild. Even Mo Xiao Bai couldn't eat there often. After all, it was rather extravagant and the price of a meal was calculated in origin crystals. But today, Mo Yu still spent a lot of money. She ordered a table full of flashing white or green raw food, and the three of them had a good meal. After eating the raw food, Mo Xiao Bai and the others returned home. After washing up, Mo Xiao Bai returned to his room. At this moment, the sky was already dark, and the silver light of the moon and stars shone through the window into the room. Mo Xiao Bai lay on the bed with his head resting on his left hand. He looked at the gloomy ceiling with a wandering gaze. When they were eating, Mo Xiaobai had asked Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu and found out that during the 20 days he had been away for the first Crimson trial, a few more people had died. The people who had died were all young, and the oldest was only a high school student. According to Mo Yu, almost all of the members of Azure Edge had been mobilized to search for the murderer, but based on the current situation, it was obvious that they hadn't caught the murderer yet. Mo Xiaobai took out the jade pendant Ning Ran gave him and narrowed his eyes slightly. A moment later, a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. He would go to Azure Edge tomorrow to check on the situation. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai woke up early and tried to sense his second origin aperture as usual, but there was still no progress. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Sensing the origin aperture required a certain amount of time, and he already had a vague idea of where to go. After getting up and washing up, Mo Xiaobai ate his breakfast and said goodbye to Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu before heading out. He took a taxi to Adventurers Street and walked towards Azure Edge's headquarters. Although it was still early, and the air was still a little damp from last night, and the weather was still a little chilly, there were already quite a lot of people on the street. Most of the adventurers were already busy at this time, buying resources for the Void Realm adventure, or just returning from the Void Realm to sell materials. Unlike last time, there weren't many people who looked at Mo Xiaobai this time. After all, it had been almost a month, and the popularity of the college entrance exam had already died down. To put it bluntly, whether Mo Xiaobai did well or not had nothing to do with him. At that time, they were just there to watch the show. Mo Xiaobai walked all the way to Azure Edge's headquarters. The blue and white 3-story building looked small and fresh, and the garden outside the building was filled with blooming flowers and morning dew. Mo Xiaobai could vaguely smell the fragrance of the flowers. After passing through the small path, Mo Xiaobai entered the building. The layout of the hall was still the same, and the shiny brown stone floor looked so clean. The two girls from last time were still sitting behind the black wooden front desk. One was a mermaid with freckles, and the other was a round-faced human girl. This time, the two of them weren't reading the newspaper. Instead, they were eating breakfast, vegetable buns and soy milk. When they saw Mo Xiaobai walk in, their eyes widened and their bodies stiffened. Then, they silently stuffed the buns in their hands and the soy milk on the table into the front desk before blushing and revealing awkward but polite smiles. The mermaid said, "Mo Xiaobai, it's you. Has the Chuming trial ended?" The round-faced girl was also curious and widened her eyes. "How was it? Did you go to the Big Three?" Before Mo Xiaobai could open his mouth to speak, he was interrupted by the two women, causing him to be stunned. Then, he smiled and replied, "It's over. I got into the Akatsuki Academy." Ah! The two girls clenched their fists and screamed, and their faces turned even redder. The two of them looked at Mo Xiaobai with watery eyes, full of worship. "Mo Xiaobai is so amazing! You'll be the pride of the Akatsuki Academy in the future." The mermaid was envious. Mo Xiaobai laughed dryly. "You're too kind, I don't deserve to be the pride of the world." He wanted to continue asking them, so he quickly said, "Oh right, is Captain Wu Liang here?" The mermaid and round-faced girl wanted to say something, but when they heard Mo Xiaobai's words, they were stunned. Then, the round-faced girl said, "Captain Wu isn't here yet." Before she could finish, she suddenly looked in the direction of the door behind Mo Xiaobai. "Captain is here." Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai turned to look behind him. He noticed that Wu Liang, whose face was covered in sideburns, had a rough and resolute appearance, and had a muscular body, was walking over with his head lowered. He frowned as if he was thinking about something, and did not notice Mo Xiaobai and the others at all. Mo Xiaobai's face lit up and he said, "Captain Wu, long time no see." When he heard Mo Xiaobai's words, Wu Liang raised his head and looked at Mo Xiaobai. When he saw Mo Xiaobai, he was stunned at first, but then he smiled. "Xiaobai, I didn't expect to see you here. Didn't you go to the Chumi trial? Mo Xiaobai realized that Wu Liang's face was full of fatigue, and there were dark circles under his brown eyes. Clearly he did not rest well. He smiled and said, "The Chumi trial has ended. I came back yesterday." When Wu Liang heard this, he suddenly had a look of realization. Then, he asked curiously, "How is it? Which school did you get into?" Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Akatsuki." Wu Liang smiled and said, "Congratulations, Xiaobai." Then, he patted Mo Xiaobai. "The first time I saw you, I knew you weren't an ordinary person, but I didn't expect you to get into one of the big three. You're really something." Mo Xiaobai felt the strength from Wu Liang's arm, and could not help but smile. He laughed dryly and said, "Captain Wu Liang, I'm here to talk to you about something." Chapter 79. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Wu Liang paused and looked at Mo Xiaobai in confusion. "What is it?" Mo Xiaobai stared into Wu Liang's brown eyes and said, "It's about the murder case." Hearing this, Wu Liang's expression changed. He glanced at the mermaid and round-faced girl who were eavesdropping curiously and said, "Why don't we go to my office to talk?" Mo Xiaobai was naturally willing. He nodded. "Okay." Seeing Mo Xiaobai and Wu Liang go up the stairs, the mermaid and round-faced girl both curled their lips in disappointment. "Really, can't Captain Wu let us listen?" "But I didn't expect Mo Xiaobai to look for Captain Wu because of this? Speaking of which, he came to look for Captain Wu last time. Was it also because of this?" "I'm not sure about this, but I know one thing," the mermaid girl said with a serious expression. "What is it?" the round-faced girl asked curiously. "Mo Xiaobai is amazing. He's so handsome, kind and humble, and he's also one of the top 3 geniuses. Ah, who can resist him? He's the perfect boyfriend. I love him." The round-faced girl sneered expressionlessly. "Last time you said he was a jerk. Even if he's a jerk, I can do it too. Don't you want to be tricked by Mo Xiaobai?" The round-faced girl was embarrassed and lost her voice. "Right? You think I don't know what kind of person you are?" Mo Xiaobai followed Wu Liang into his office. Wu Liang's office was not big. There were some documents on the table. Some of them were open and looked messy. Behind the desk was a large brown wooden bookshelf, and there were some documents on the bookshelf. Wu Liang asked Mo Xiaobai to sit while he went behind the table. He messily piled the documents together, trying to make the table look cleaner. "Ha ha ha, I'm a little dizzy because of this murder case. It's a bit messy. Don't mind it." Mo Xiaobai shook his head. "It's fine, Captain Wu. I don't mind." Wu Liang reluctantly piled up the documents and then sat on the chair behind the desk. He looked at Xiaobai with a serious expression. "Classmate Xiaobai, why are you asking about the murder case? If it wasn't you, it would be enough to arouse suspicion." After all, Mo Xiaobai had participated in the first Crimson trial and was not in Pingxi town. The murders that happened during this period of time definitely had nothing to do with him. "I have a friend who is also a victim of this murder." Wu Liang was stunned. "Who is it?" Ning ran. "It's him." Wu Liang showed a look of realization. Obviously, he still had an impression of Ning Ran. Mo Xiaobai nodded. "That's why I want to know more about this case." Wu Liang did not answer. He only looked at Mo Xiaobai. "Classmate Xiaobai, you want to take revenge on your own?" Mo Xiaobai was stunned. Then, he smiled and said, "Don't worry. If I'm not confident, I won't do anything. I just want to see if I can help you guys in any way." Wu Liang heard this and fell into silence. After a while, he said helplessly, "It's fine to tell you, but you have to promise me that you won't take any risks. You're a student of the Big Three and have a bright future ahead of you. You're probably a role model for the students of Pingxi Town for many years to come. If anything happens to you, I'll be in trouble too." Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. He nodded repeatedly. Don't worry, Captain Wu. I know what I'm doing. I definitely won't do anything dangerous. Wu Yang nodded. He seemed to think that Mo Xiaobai would not lie to him about this matter. Then, he rubbed the space between his eyebrows and sighed softly. He said, "To be honest, I'm afraid that this murder was done by a disciple of the Void Faith cult or a relatively powerful demon." A disciple of the Void Faith cult or a demon? Mo Xiaobai's pupils contracted. Yes. During this period of time, apart from the murders that have already happened, there were a few cases where we stopped the victims when they were about to appear. It was all done by the Shadow Demon Hounds. We suspect that a disciple of the Void Faith cult or a powerful demon deliberately summoned the Shadow Demon Hounds to do evil. We're not sure about the specific reason. Maybe it's some kind of ritual. Mo Xiaobai frowned. Then, do you have any leads on the real murderer? Wu Yang smiled bitterly. The real murderer is very cautious and never shows himself. All the murders are done by the Shadow Demon Hound. We even hired people to be bait and go to remote areas at night. We've been fishing nearby, but the murderer hasn't been fooled even once. Mo Xiaobai's heart sank when he heard this. The Azure Edge had already gone this far, but they still couldn't find any clues on the real murderer. At this point, Wu Yang paused for a moment before he continued. Actually, we've been discussing this. With the Azure Edge of Pingxi Town's current abilities, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle this matter properly. We're wondering if we should report this to the higher-ups and let them send a powerhouse to take over this case. If there are no accidents, a powerhouse will take over in a week at most. Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up when he heard this. If a powerhouse from the Azure Edge comes down, they should be able to catch the murderer, right? Wu Yang's face showed a bitter expression. It's not that simple. We haven't decided yet because we're afraid that if we notify the higher-ups and a powerhouse comes down, we'll alert the enemy. Who knows, the real murderer might go into hiding or even leave Pingxi Town to do evil in other places. If that's really the case, then this case can only be left unsolved. In fact, it's not rare to not be able to find the real murderer. After all, some demons and evil gods have very strange method. Wu Yang's rough face twitched as he said this. Mo Xiaobai frowned when he heard Wu Yang's explanation. If that was the case, then it was indeed very troublesome. According to Wu Yang's words, they didn't even have any clues on the real murderer. If the real murderer really saw the powerhouse from the Azure Edge coming over, he would definitely stop and leave, right? If that was the case, then wouldn't there be no way to avenge Little Ran? Mo Xiaobai's chest felt a little stuffy. Seeing Mo Xiaobai frowning in silence, Wu Yang said softly, "I'm very sorry about what happened to Little Ran." Mo Xiaobai pursed his lips. "It's not your fault. Didn't we all think that I killed the murderer?" Mo Xiaobai recalled the Shadow Demon Hound that he killed. At that time, they all thought that the Shadow Demon Hound was the murderer. After a moment of silence, Mo Xiaobai said, "I'll keep an eye out for you guys. If there's any news, I'll let you guys know." Captain Wu pursed his lips and nodded. "Okay. Then," he said worriedly, "but you have to make sure that you're safe. If something happens to you, then I'll be a sinner." Mo Xiaobai forced a smile. "Don't worry, Captain Wu. I'm not stupid. I'll go back first then. I'm also going to continue looking for clues. Let's go down together." The two of them went downstairs together and walked out of the Azure Edge's headquarters under the doubtful gazes of the two girls at the front desk. After Captain Wu left, Mo Xiaobai looked at the bustling Adventurers Street and felt a little lost. Where should he start looking? At this moment, he saw that his body was covered by a white light that was close to 200 meters in radius. Should he try using the light? Although it might not work, it was better than doing nothing. After Mo Xiaobai made up his mind, he gritted his teeth and decided to take a stroll around Pingxi Town. P.S. Thank you to book friends 201701092026411356, Yak Forever, Nirvana Era, Book Friends 20190711081813487. I'm still the young man who charges money, thank you all. Chapter 80. For the next few days, Mo Xiaobai wandered around Pingxi town, hoping to find some clues with his own light. However, the results were disappointing. Mo Xiaobai had obtained the white light for some time after his headache, so he figured out the general pattern of the light. Red rays of light often symbolized good luck, such as the herbs at the location of the red ray of light, the void treasure, or the treasure that would appear in a certain period of time. Even the incident with the lava demon hound during the earthquake in the blazing canyon. All of this was not as simple as a treasure. The red ray of light was beneficial to Mo Xiaobai, which was the side of good luck. Mo Xiaobai referred to the red light as the line of good luck. On the other hand, the black light was clearly the side of bad luck, which was the line of bad luck. Mo Xiaobai guessed that no matter whether the light was harmful or not, as long as it was harmless to him, then the line of bad luck would not appear. Even the line of good luck and the line of bad luck had a certain time limit. It would only take effect in the next few hours. In this way, the possibility of finding the culprit behind the scenes using the line of bad luck was too low. After all, who could guarantee that the culprit behind the scenes would coincidentally have murderous intent towards Mo Xiaobai and harm him? Thus, for the next few days, Mo Xiaobai only used the line of good luck to pick up some money from the roadside. The total value was probably less than 10 origin crystals. 5 days later in the morning, Mo Xiaobai had just walked out of his room when Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu looked at Mo Xiaobai with bright smiles. Mo Xiaobai was puzzled. "What's wrong?" Mo Yu chuckled. "The final results of the college entrance exam are out." Mu Yuzhu's beautiful face was filled with surprise. "Xiaobai is actually the top scorer." Mo Xiaobai was speechless. He was speechless. "I already told you, but you didn't believe me." Mo Yu rolled her eyes and said, "After all, with your cultivation, we didn't think you could surpass 2 chakra geniuses. We didn't expect you to give us such a big surprise." Mu Yuzhu smiled and rubbed Mo Xiaobai's head. "My son is the best. I'm so proud of you." Mo Xiaobai was speechless as he tidied up his messy hair. By the way, the school sent a message saying that the college entrance examination results are out today. Graduates have to apply to the school and attend the graduation ceremony to receive their graduation certificate. Upon hearing this, Mo Xiaobai nodded slightly. "All right, shall we head over now?" Although he had already chosen a college, he still needed to receive his high school diploma. Mo Yu nodded. "Yes, I'll go over now." Mo Xiaobai finished his breakfast and went out to the Moonlight Middle School. As they approached the Moonlight Middle School, Mo Xiaobai saw a huge red banner hanging above the school gate. "Congratulations to our outstanding student, Mo Xiaobai, for becoming the top scorer of this year's college entrance exam." Below the banner, there was a group of students surrounding it and pointing at it excitedly. Mo Xiaobai, the corner of his mouth twitched. He looked at the banner and blushed a little. It was so embarrassing to advertise like this. At this moment, someone shouted, "Look, it's Mo Xiaobai." Suddenly, Mo Xiaobai felt many gazes on him. He realized that everyone at the school gate was looking at him excitedly. Some of the cute female students even covered their small mouths and were so excited that their faces were flushed red. Even though Mo Xiaobai had been the center of attention for many years, he still felt a little embarrassed. He smiled at the crowd of students, which immediately caused many girls to exclaim softly. After that, he turned around and walked through the gate. The crowd of students at the gate silently made way for Mo Xiaobai. As he walked, he felt the gazes of the crowd. At this moment, an excited voice sounded behind him. "Xiaobai, I didn't expect you to get into one of the big three." Mo Xiaobai turned around and saw Meng Yu and Lin Mingyu jogging toward him. Both of them had smiles on their faces. The one who spoke just now was Mengyu. Soon, the two of them ran to Mo Xiaobai's side. They looked at Mo Xiaobai in disbelief. Mo Xiaobai smiled. Not bad. My luck was better this time. Lin Mengyu looked at Mo Xiaobai with sparkling eyes. When we participated in the elite trial, we were only at the peak of the tempered body stage. I didn't expect you to get into one of the big three. Mengyu also looked envious. Yeah, when you said you were going to get into Akatsuki, I didn't believe you. Mo Xiaobai smiled and asked, which school did you two get into? Lin Mengyu chuckled. We both chose Ueshi. Ueshi? That's not bad. It can't be compared to you. The three of them chatted as they returned to the graduate teaching building. Then, they went back to their respective classes. As soon as Mo Xiaobai stepped into the class, everyone who was excitedly chatting stopped. Everyone turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. The atmosphere in the class was a little quiet. After a while, excited voices could be heard. Xiaobai, you're too strong. You actually became the top scorer. The big three. Xiaobai, how did you do it better than two chakra super geniuses? Everyone's cheers kept ringing out. All the students, both familiar and unfamiliar, rushed towards Mo Xiaobai, their faces filled with excitement. Mo Xiaobai was instantly surrounded. He even felt that someone was taking the opportunity to touch his body, which made his scalp tingle. Which female student was taking advantage of the chaos? What's the noise about? Unknowingly, Li Qishui was already standing on the podium. His stern eyes were looking at the crowd. Everyone stopped under Li Qishui's stern gaze, and everyone returned to their seats noisily. Cold sweat broke out on Mo Xiaobai's forehead. He breathed a sigh of relief. He was finally saved. Li Qishui turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. His stern expression disappeared and was replaced by a bright smile. Xiaobai, congratulations on becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exam. You're our top scorer. Top scorer. Top scorer. Mo Xiaobai's deskmate, Jing Dong, led the crowd. The other students followed suit and shouted. Even Li Qishui smiled and did not stop them. To the students of Pingxi Town, becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exam of the entire empire was simply a legend. No one could suppress the excitement in their hearts. The students from the top 100 academies had already taken part in the trial and completed their choice of school. As for the students who were going to the Normal Force Academy or even the specialized academies, they had to choose their own academy now. For the Normal Force Academy and specialized academies, cultivation was no longer that important. After all, their cultivation talent was only average. Instead, the results of cultural studies were more important. The results of cultural studies became the most important basis for choosing a school. Cultivation became a secondary factor. After choosing a school, Li Qishui led everyone to the school's auditorium. The graduation ceremony was held in the auditorium. The chubby Principal Lin, who had a huge beer belly, gave a speech with a friendly smile. He mainly talked about the hard work of the graduates and the hard work of the teachers. Finally, he also talked about the college entrance exam result. When he talked about the college entrance exam results, Principal Lin naturally emphasized Mo Xiaobai's praise. After all, he was the top scorer in this year's college entrance exam. Many of the examinees had already known about Mo Xiao by becoming the top scorer from the previous banners or even earlier when the overall results were announced. They cheered along with him. Principal Lin even asked Mo Xiao to give a speech on stage. Mo Xiao stood on stage in a daze. Looking at the excited students below, the corners of his mouth twitched, revealing a handsome and sunny smile. Cough, the heavens reward the diligent. Only by working hard can you create a beautiful future. Don't place your hopes in your heart for impermanent luck. You have to work hard. Mo Xiaobai gave a long speech. Of course, the main theme was the hard work of positive energy. After all, other people could not see good and bad luck. He could not say that his achievements were due to his good luck, right? Moreover, Mo Xiaobai could proudly say that he was actually very hard-working. It was just that while he was working hard, he had a little more luck than others. Whether it was Principal Lin, Director Hong Shi, or Li Qishui, when they heard Mo Xiaobai's speech, they all nodded in satisfaction. Listen to the state of mind of the Empire's top scorer. It was because of his talent and hard work that he was able to achieve so much. Many teachers were proud to be able to teach such an outstanding student like Mo Xiaobai. Chapter 81. At the end of the graduation ceremony, Principal Lin announced that Mo Xiaobai would be an outstanding alumnus of Pingxi Town. His achievements would be preserved in the school museum. Then, the school issued the graduation certificates to the graduate. The graduation ceremony came to a successful end. After the graduation ceremony ended, they could actually leave the school. However, according to the tradition of the graduate, in the end, every class naturally had to hold a dinner party. After this farewell, they did not know when they would see each other again. This was also the last high school reunion. Mo Xiaobai's class was no exception. Even the homeroom teacher, Li Qishui, would attend. Everyone laughed and chatted as they left the school and arrived at the hotel room that they had booked. Originally, high school students were not allowed to drink. Of course, drinking secretly was not counted. Even Mo Xiaobai had secretly drunk before, although he did not really like the taste of alcohol. But today, everyone would naturally drink a little. The dinner party was very lively. Everyone loudly talked about embarrassing things that happened in high school. Some people also refuted. Some people even took the last opportunity to confess to the boy or girl they liked. There were lovers who got married in the end, but there were also those who were heartless. Mo Xiaobai was confessed to by quite a few cute and beautiful female classmates, but in the end, he smiled and politely rejected them all. He was heartless. One of them was even the school belle of Moonlight Middle School. She was simply the white moonlight in the hearts of many boys. This made many of the male classmates envious and jealous, but also impressed. So many beautiful girls confessed to him. How could he hold back? Many of the male classmates' minds were filled with question marks. Some of them even looked at Mo Xiaobai strangely. Seeing that Mo Xiaobai was so stubborn, the other girls who originally wanted to give it a try suddenly lost their courage. After eating and drinking to their fill, everyone went to sing again. Amidst the tone-deaf singing, it was considered a final farewell. Many of the sentimental girls even cried. Even a few boys followed suit and shed tears. High school ended just like that. After singing, it was already very late. Under the night sky, the stars shone brightly. The street lights mixed with the starlight enveloped Pingxi Town, making the night in Pingxi Town more tranquil. Li Qishui said somewhat sternly, "It's not very safe in Pingxi Town at night recently. I'll send you all home first." None of the students had any objections. After Li Qishui asked for the home addresses of the students who lived nearby, he led everyone to move together. They would first send the people who lived nearby back, and then send the people who lived further away. Just in case, Li Qishui led the students along the main road. Although it was already nighttime, the street lights were still bright and there were still some pedestrians on the road. It was a safe journey. However, after turning a corner and entering a relatively quiet street, Mo Xiaobai suddenly felt that the atmosphere was strangely quiet. Li Qishui, who was walking at the front, also felt this strange feeling. His light yellow eyes suddenly sharpened. He turned his head to look at the few hundred meters of empty street illuminated by the dim streetlight. "Be careful. Something's happening." The students who were chatting and laughing were stunned when they heard Li Qishui's words. Then, everyone widened their eyes and looked around with fear in their eyes. It can't be that murderer, right?" Someone said with a trembling voice. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai suddenly saw dark gray lines of misfortune slowly appearing around them, approaching from the edge of the white lines. However, Mo Xiaobai didn't see any people or magical beasts in the dark area. His pupils contracted and the demon hound's spine appeared in his hand. "Everyone be careful! A shadow demon hound is approaching." His heart felt heavy. If he had known earlier, he would have put on his leather armor when he came out. Without that set of rare heavenly cast leather armor, his combat strength would be lower by a level. However, he didn't have the chance to change now. Mo Xiaobai looked at the dark gray lines slowly approaching with a solemn expression and tightened his grip on the heavy sword in his hand. So many! There was definitely more than one shadow demon hound. How could there be so many? Hearing this, everyone's body stiffened and instinctively leaned together. On the other hand, Li Qishui looked around vigilantly. "Xiaobai, how did you discover the shadow demon hounds?" As he spoke, a long sword appeared in his hand. Clearly, he was willing to believe Mo Xiaobai's words. After all, there was something wrong with the environment here. Mo Xiaobai didn't answer. His expression was solemn. "Teacher, be careful. There are several shadow demon hounds around, in every direction." Hearing this, Li Qishui's pupils contracted violently and his hair stood on end. He looked around solemnly. Although his cultivation was at level 1 of 2 apertures, he was the most ordinary kind of body fundamentalist. He couldn't sense the shadow demon hounds at all. Mo Xiaobai glanced at Li Qishui and said, "Teacher, look after the students." Li Qishui was startled when he heard this. He didn't understand what Mo Xiaobai meant. He opened his mouth and was about to speak. A trace of coldness flashed in Mo Xiaobai's black eyes. He stomped his right foot on the ground. Titan Force, Level 1 Life Force, and Peak 1 Aperture Origin Power erupted at the same time. Dong! By the side, Li Qishui and the surrounding students felt the ground tremble. A small crater appeared where Mo Xiaobai was originally standing, and the surroundings were filled with spiderweb-like cracks. And Mo Xiaobai's body had already turned into a black shadow, directly charging out a distance of nearly 100 meters. He looked at the gray line of misfortune in front of him, and a trace of malice flashed in his eyes. "Die!" He held the heavy sword with both hands. White light flashed on the sword as it slashed through the air. "Chi!" The sound of the blade tearing flesh rang out. Suddenly, purple-black blood with a foul stench gushed out from the empty air. Then, there was a dull thud as the air rippled, and a huge shadow demon hound appeared. There was a hideous sword wound on its neck, almost chopping its head off. Its body twitched as it fell to the ground. Blood gushed out of the wound and soaked the ground. Seeing the shadow demon hound, Li Qishui and the rest of the students widened their eyes. Their pupils constricted and their hearts twitched as if something had grabbed them. Then Li Qishui came back to his senses and roared, "Students, gather in a circle and draw your weapons. It doesn't matter if there's a shadow demon hound outside. Raise your weapons." While he was roaring, Mo Xiaobai didn't stop after his successful attack. The veins on his hands bulged and his muscles bulged. White origin power flashed again. 3 consecutive slashes. Chi chi chi. 3 streaks of white light flashed through the dark air. A woo, accompanied by a series of screams, purple-black blood gushed out. 2 more shadow demon hounds fell to the ground. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai felt a gust of wind behind him. He pursed his lips and stopped his body expressionlessly. White light flashed on his legs and he moved more than a meter to the side. A huge shadow demon hound pounced past him, but it missed. Mo Xiaobai's heavy sword slashed its abdomen. Blood gushed out. The huge shadow demon hound was almost cut in half at the waist. It fell to the ground, twitching. After killing the nearby shadow demon hounds, Mo Xiaobai turned to look at Li Qishui and the others. The shadow demon hound's speed was reduced when it moved through the shadows. It was now about 50 meters away from Li Qishui and the others. Mo Xiaobai stomped on the ground and rushed toward the shadow demon hound near Li Qishui and the others. Chapter 82. After Mo Xiaobai rushed over, the tense Li Qishui finally noticed him. Li Qishui's eyes widened in shock when he saw the 4 shadow demon hounds behind Mo Xiaobai without a complete corpse. He opened his mouth, but before he could say anything, Mo Xiaobai had already run past him and was 50 meters away. His sword fell. Chi chi chi, the sword flashed with white light as it slashed through the air, accompanied by a sizzling sound. Purplish-black blood spurted out of nowhere. Another 4 Umbra demon hounds fell to the ground. The students who were waving their weapons in fear and the nervous Li Qishui now widened their eyes, looking in the direction of Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai's back was facing them, the black sword in his right hand dripping with purplish-black blood, the 4 Umbra demon hounds' corpses on the ground, and a few broken limbs scattered. Under the dim light of the street lamps, Mo Xiaobai's back was deeply imprinted in everyone's mind, including Li Qishui's. Mo Xiaobai looked around. After discovering that there were no more gray lines of misfortune, he let out a sigh of relief and shook off the blood on his sword. However, he did not let down his guard. Because the surrounding environment had not changed. Li Qishui was the same in the distance. He scolded the students who were about to cheer, "Don't let down your guard. There's still something that hasn't come out." Hearing Li Qishui's scolding, the students' faces stiffened, and once again showed a look of fear. Teacher, what is it here? It can't be the murderer, right?" Jingdong's face was full of tears. "Xiaobai classmate is so powerful, it shouldn't be a problem, right?" Bai Yueguang's beautiful face was full of tears, she had cried before. Now, she looked at Mo Xiaobai's back, her eyes full of admiration. Even if her confession was rejected, she still could not stand it. Hearing Bai Yueguang's words, Li Qishui's mouth twitched. He was the teacher, okay? However, even Li Qishui had to admit that Mo Xiaobai's performance had truly shocked him. Is this the strength of a student who got first place in the first Ming trial? Li Qishui's heart trembled. He had a strange feeling that even if he and Mo Xiaobai were to fight fair and square, he might not be a match for Mo Xiaobai. Right at this moment, Mo Xiaobai walked back. With a grave expression, he said, "Teacher, let's try to walk out. I'm afraid someone has done something to this area." Li Qishui nodded. Just as he was about to speak, clear footsteps sounded in the quiet street. Step, step, thud. The sound of footsteps seemed to be trampling on everyone's hearts. The students behind Mo Xiaobai and Li Qishui all trembled. Fear flashed through their eyes. A sharp glint flashed in Mo Xiaobai's eyes as he lifted his head to look at the darkness ahead of him. Li Qishui did the same. In the depths of the street ahead of them, the darkness was like a whirlpool that could swallow them up at any time. The footsteps came from the darkness. Soon, the footsteps got closer and closer. A blurry figure slowly appeared in the darkness. At the same time, a hoarse voice sounded. "You are indeed the top scorer of the college entrance examination. My little darlings are no threat to you at all." When Mo Xiaobai heard this voice, he was stunned. He frowned slightly and revealed a puzzled expression. Why did he feel that this voice sounded familiar? The black figure kept getting closer and closer. Mo Xiaobai could see that there were extremely dark threads of misfortune flowing around him. This meant that this black figure was extremely dangerous. Mo Xiaobai was on guard. He felt his heartbeat quicken as he stared in the direction of the black figure. Was this the mastermind behind the scenes? Soon, the black figure strolled to a position less than 100 meters away from Mo Xiaobai and the others. Under the dim yellow street lights, the black figure's face was reflected. After seeing the face clearly, Mo Xiaobai's body shook violently. His eyes widened in disbelief. "This is impossible!" He could not help but exclaim. Under the dim yellow street lights, Ning Feng's face was faintly discernible. At this moment, Ning Feng's square and resolute face had become much thinner. His cheeks were sunken and his forehead was slightly protruding. He no longer had the carefree smile that Emo Xiaobai remembered. He looked even more gloomy than the last time they met in front of Ning Ran's grave. Emo Xiaobai looked at Ning Feng's familiar yet unfamiliar face. He felt his mind go blank and his mouth dry up. His heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly by a pair of giant hands. Uncle Ning? How could it be you? How could it be you? Ning Feng saw Emo Xiaobai's shocked expression. Under the shadows, his abnormally gloomy eyes carried a strange joy. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing the same white teeth that Emo Xiaobai remembered. His smile was very evil. Why can't it be me? Emo Xiaobai's hands that were holding the heavy sword trembled slightly. He swallowed. But Ning Ran was Ning Feng's child. He knew how much Ning Feng sacrificed for Ning Ran and how much he sacrificed for Ning Ran. How could such a Ning Feng kill Ning Ran? When he heard Emo Xiaobai mention Ning Ran, the smile on Ning Feng's face froze. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up even more. His smile looked somewhat sinister and twisted. There was a crazed look in his dark, gloomy eyes. He asked for it. Ning Feng's voice was a little hoarse. His tyrannical aura almost materialized and rushed towards Emo Xiaobai, making him feel a little suffocated. How much have I sacrificed for him? I've left the best for him. If I broke through to the third aperture, wouldn't his life be better? But what about him? After seeing me summon the Shadow Demon Hound, he actually wants me to go to Azure Edge and surrender? His expression became even more sinister. He betrayed me. Just like that bitch. They're like mother and son. They both look down on trash like me. Emo Xiaobai looked at Ning Feng's sinister and terrifying face and felt his mouth go dry. He swallowed his saliva and planned to say something. However, Ning Feng did not stop. He roared in a hoarse voice. Since even he betrayed me, why should I live for him? I summoned the Shadow Demon Hound and saw him being torn apart with my own eyes. Then, I'll find that bitch. I'll let them reunite. Emo Xiaobai felt a pressure in his chest. He looked at Ning Feng's face that was completely different from what he remembered. His eyes were a little sore and his nose was a little stuffy. It was as if a piece of ice had been placed in his stomach. It was bone-chilling. He squinted his eyes and took a deep breath. Then, he gripped the heavy sword in his hand and looked expressionlessly at the sinister Ning Feng. Uncle Ning, you're crazy. Chapter 83. Have you gone mad? Ning Feng's sinister smile slowly disappeared and his expression turned gloomy again. He said softly, Xiaobai, you're my final target. You're the top scholar of the college entrance exam and you're so talented. As long as I sacrifice you, I'll be rewarded by the King of Destruction and break through to the Four Chakras realm. I'm sure the Azure Edge in Pingxi Town will inform the higher-ups, but before that, I'll leave Pingxi Town to find that bitch. Emo Xiaobai realized that Ning Feng's cultivation had reached the peak of the Three Chakras realm. When he went to pay his respects to Ning Ran, Mo said that Ning Feng had just broken through to the Three Chakras realm. At the same time, Mo Xiaobai also realized that Ning Feng was holding a strange stone statue in his right hand. The stone statue was about 20 centimeters tall. It was a hideous demon with bat wings and a pair of thick goat horns. At this moment, the stone statue was emitting wisps of purplish-black fog. The wisps of fog seemed to have blended into the air. Mo Xiaobai finally understood why the space here seemed to have become a little strange. It was because of the stone statue. Ning Feng carefully placed the stone statue on the ground. Then, he turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. His eyes were as deep as a black, cold lake. Since we're acquaintances, I'll personally send you on your way. Give up struggling. I'm already at the peak of the 3 chakras realm. You're no match for me. Wisps of purplish-black fog appeared around him. It was the color of a demon. A battle sword appeared in his hand. He slowly walked toward Mo Xiaobai. The evil aura surged toward Mo Xiaobai like a wave. Mo Xiaobai even found it difficult to breathe. At this moment, Li Qishui stood in front of Mo Xiaobai with an indifferent expression. Xiaobai, I'll hold this demon back. You take the other students and run. Inform the Azure Edge once you're out. Mo Xiaobai just remembered that there were other students beside him. He realized that the other students were already pale and trembling under Ningfeng's evil aura. Stop me? Ningfeng grinned. Ha! You're just a piece of trash with 2 apertures of level 1. How are you going to stop me? Li Qishui was still expressionless, but his eyes were filled with determination. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai patted Li Qishui's shoulder and said softly, Teacher, let me do it. Li Qishui was stunned. He turned his head and met Mo Xiaobai's resolute black eyes. He opened his mouth, but couldn't find a way to refute. Mo Xiaobai took a step forward while Li Qishui was still in a daze. A white emblem that was neither metal nor wood appeared in his hand. The Holy Light Judgment emblem was the reward for the top scorer of the college entrance exam. It could release a basic Holy Light Judgment and deal heavy damage to demons below Tier 3. Mo Xiaobai had never thought that this emblem would be used on Ningfeng. His expression was ice-cold as he poured origin power into the insignia. Immediately, a dazzling white light shone and illuminated the dark night sky. A white pillar of light shot out from the Holy Light Judgment emblem and hit Ningfeng's body. The smile on Ningfeng's face froze. It was as if he had been splashed with sulfuric acid. His face revealed a pained expression, and the purplish-black fog around him twisted. Ningfeng arched his body and trembled violently. He couldn't help but let out a shrill cry. His face, arms, and all the exposed skin had cracks on them. Purplish-black blood slowly flowed out from the crack. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. Even his blood had turned into the color of an evil demon. Under the Holy Light Judgment, Ningfeng's aura dropped rapidly. After the white light dissipated, Ningfeng was covered in wounds. His body was covered in purplish-black blood, and his cultivation had dropped to level 2 of 2 apertures. Ningfeng panted violently, his eyes flashing with palpitations. He slowly raised his head and looked at the indifferent Mo Xiaobai. The fear in his eyes slowly turned into a ferocious expression. How dare you? How dare you make all my efforts go to waste? Ningfeng's voice was hoarse and filled with intense hatred. Mo Xiaobai held the heavy sword with both hands and said softly, Uncle Ning, let me send you on your last journey. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Ningfeng's mouth cracked open. His eyes were filled with madness and brutality. You? He waved his right hand, and purplish-black blood sprayed on the stone statue. The statue flashed with purplish-black light, and then spat out a cloud of black fog. From the black fog, a shadow demon hound slowly walked out. This shadow demon hound's strength was different from before. It had reached level 1 of 2 apertures. The shadow demon hound's eyes were filled with malice. It stared fixedly at Mo Xiaobai and crouched down, ready to attack at any time. Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed, but he didn't back down. Today, he had to make Ningfeng stay. At this moment, Li Qishui came to Mo Xiaobai's side. His lips curved into a smile. Xiaobai, I'll help you deal with this shadow demon hound. You deal with this demon. Mo Xiaobai paused, then nodded. Thank you, teacher. With that, his legs flashed with white light, and his body turned into a black shadow, rushing toward Ningfeng. When Ningfeng saw Mo Xiaobai rushing over, he let out a low growl from his throat. His eyes were filled with resentment. Ignoring the hideous wounds on his body, he also pounced towards Mo Xiaobai. The Shadow Demon Hound was about to attack Mo Xiao Bai with Ning Feng when a beam of sword qi shot over, causing the Shadow Demon Hound to stop. It dodged to the side, then looked at Li Qishui who was rushing toward it. With a low growl, it pounced toward Li Qishui. Mo Xiao Bai and Ning Feng were both extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they were face to face. Mo Xiao Bai's heavy sword flashed with white light, and 3 sword shadows slashed through the air toward Ning Feng. 3 consecutive slashes. Ning Feng's pupil shrank slightly, and he blocked with his blade. Clang, clang, clang. 3 sounds of metal clashing rang out. Ning Feng took 3 steps back, but he firmly blocked Mo Xiao Bai's attack. The moment he blocked the 3 consecutive slashes, Ning Feng's legs pushed off the ground, and he borrowed the strength of the ground to charge forward. The blade in his hand was surrounded by a purplish-black fog. Mo Xiao Bai raised the heavy sword in his hand, blocking the sweeping saber. Clang! A surge of power came from the heavy sword, causing Mo Xiao Bai's hand to feel numb. He didn't have time to continue his attack when he suddenly felt a sense of danger. He instinctively pushed off the ground and retreated. At this moment, Ning Feng growled, and a purplish-black fog flashed through his eyes. He gripped his blade tightly with both hands and began to wildly and disorderly slash at Mo Xiao Bai. Rare grade origin skill, chaotic dance. Mo Xiao Bai retreated while dodging. When he couldn't dodge, he used his heavy sword to block. After a few breaths of time, the shadow of a blade slashed across Mo Xiao Bai's chest. With a ripping sound, Mo Xiao Bai felt pain in his chest. His school uniform had been torn apart by the blade, and a shallow cut appeared on his chest. Fresh blood slowly flowed out. Chapter 84. Mo Xiao Bai frowned as the wound on his chest throbbed with pain. He wasn't wearing his rare heaven-forged leather armor, so his combat strength was a bit weaker than when he was at his peak. Even though Ning Feng was heavily injured, he still had the strength of a 2-apertured level 2, which was very troublesome. At this moment, traces of numbness came from his wound, and Mo Xiao Bai felt his healing speed increase. Legendary grade origin skill, Breath of Life. The first level of Breath of Life increased Mo Xiao Bai's healing speed by a lot. After chaotic dance, Ning Feng's body paused for a moment because the violent attack had ended. A cold light flashed through Mo Xiao Bai's eyes. He rushed forward, both hands gripping the heavy sword, and the sword flashed. Triple slash. Ning Feng's legs pushed off the ground, and his body moved horizontally, dodging the sword. The sharp wind from the sword still left a shallow wound on his exposed arm. However, this wound paled in comparison to the original wound on his arm. At this moment, Ning Feng had already sunk into madness. His deep black eyes contained a gloomy and frenzied expression. The pain on his body did not seem to affect him at all. He raised his saber and once again launched a fierce attack at Mo Xiao Bai. Clang! 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 The two's figures changed, origin power surging, and origin skills activated. Blade and sword swung in the air, leaving behind afterimages. The sound of blade and sword clashing continuously rang out, and the circular force produced by the collision spread out over 10 meters. Because the strength of the two's feet was too great, cracks appeared on the bluestone street. The battle continued for a few minutes. After all, Ning Feng's cultivation was higher than Mo Xiao Bai's. Although Mo Xiao Bai had Titan strength and breath of life, his strength and speed were still a bit weaker than Ning Feng's. From time to time, his body would be left with scars from the blade. His black uniform became tattered, and fresh blood flowed out from his wounds. Ning Feng wasn't in a good state either. Under Holy Light's judgment, his injuries were too severe. His entire body was covered with cracks, and every time he attacked, purplish-black blood would spurt out from his wounds. At this moment, Ning Feng's face was as white as paper due to the excessive blood loss. Even so, his expression was still as sinister and terrifying as a demon's. Die! 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 A hoarse roar came out of Ning Feng's mouth. He waved his saber with great strength. Mo Xiaobai's arms were numb from the powerful force. His palms were torn, and his hands that were holding onto the devil dog's spine were covered in blood. The stabbing pain constantly stimulated Mo Xiaobai's brain. Even so, Mo Xiaobai remained expressionless. Compared to Ning Feng's violent attacks, he steadily dodged and blocked the attack. He would only counterattack when the opportunity presented itself. After such a long battle, Mo Xiaobai's muscles were in extreme pain. Sweat and blood flowed down his body. He tried his best to keep his body from deforming. He could feel that Ning Feng's attacks were not as strong as before. Clearly, Ning Feng's strength was also weakening, and it was even weakening faster than his. As long as he could hold on, he would win. At this moment, perhaps due to the excessive blood loss, Ning Feng's body swayed slightly. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed with a cold light. Ignoring the pain all over his body, he stepped out with his right foot. His heavy sword slashed through the air, and he used what little origin power he had left. 3 consecutive slashes. 3 sword shadows slashed towards Ning Feng. Ning Feng's pupils shrank, and the saber in his right hand met the sword shadows. Clang! Clang! Chi! With a chi sound, the last sword shadow slashed across Ning Feng's chest, tearing open a large wound. Purple-black blood gushed out. Ah! The wound surged, and Ning Feng roared like a wounded beast. His left hand reached to his side. On their left, Shadow Demon Hound was fighting with Li Qishui. If Shadow Demon Hound wasn't in stealth mode, he wouldn't be much stronger than Li Qishui. Both of them were injured all over, and their auras were much weaker. At this moment, a purple-black mist suddenly appeared on Shadow Demon Hound's body. With a cry, Shadow Demon Hound turned into purple-black mist and merged into Ning Feng's body. In the distance, Li Qishui was stunned, and then his eyes widened. He looked in Mo Xiaobai's direction with some fear. "Xiaobai, be careful!" After absorbing the Shadow Demon Hound's purplish-black mist, Ning Feng's originally deep black eyes were dyed with an evil purplish-black light. His body swelled up, and his skin turned purplish-black. He stepped out, and the saber in his hand was dyed with purple-black mist. He slashed towards Mo Xiaobai, and his speed was even faster than before. Die! Mo Xiaobai's hairs stood on end, and he blocked with his heavy sword. Clang! The terrifying power shook Missouri Xiaobai, and he was forced back several steps. His face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His arm was shaken by the huge force. After the attack, Ning Feng's body swayed, and his aura weakened. The purple-black skin faded away, and he became paler than snow. Then, Ning Feng suddenly turned around, and ran towards the demon statue. He bent down, picked up the demon statue, and ran away. Mo Xiaobai was stunned, and then he came back to his senses. He wanted to escape. Mo Xiaobai's face froze. Ignoring the pain all over his body, the dim white light on his legs circulated, and his power erupted. His body turned into a black shadow, and he chased after Ning Feng. Chi! The heavy sword slashed towards Ning Feng's back. Just as it was about to hit, Ning Feng suddenly turned around and waved his saber, and it collided with the heavy sword. Clang! Mo Xiaobai's body stopped, and Ning Feng lost his balance, and he took several steps back. Mo Xiaobai's right foot stepped forward, and his left foot flashed with the last trace of origin power. Carrying the great power of Titan spirit force and life force, he heavily swept towards Ning Feng's chest. Crack, 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 the sound of bones cracking rang out, and Ning Feng's face changed greatly. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body flew backwards. Dong! His tall body drew a parabola in the air, and landed heavily on the ground 5 meters away. After falling to the ground, Ning Feng struggled to stand up, but Mo Xiaobai stepped forward, and heavily stepped on him again. Bang! Ning Feng's chest caved in, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. His hands lost strength, and his saber and demon statue fell to the side. His life force also began to slowly dissipate. Mo Xiaobai lowered his head and looked at Ning Feng. He pursed his lips, and his face was indifferent. He held the heavy sword in his hand tightly. Just as Ning Feng's life force began to dissipate, his originally gloomy and hidden black eyes seemed to ripple, and there was a bit of light. His eyes were a bit confused at first, and then he seemed to have thought of something. His body shook and his eyes widened. His pupils dilated, and his vision was a bit empty. Red liquid slowly flowed down from the corner of his eyes. What did I do? His low and hoarse voice was filled with despair and pain, and also some disbelief. Mo Xiaobai was stunned and looked at Ning Feng doubtfully. At this moment, he realized that the black lines of misfortune around Ning Feng's body were slowly dissipating and became white again. Chapter 85. Uncle Ning? Mo Xiaobai looked at Ning Feng, whose face was filled with pain and despair, and whose eyes were filled with tears of blood, and called out softly with uncertainty. Ning Feng did not seem to hear Mo Xiaobai's voice. His eyes were wide open, his gaze empty and his face ashen. As his consciousness drifted, Ning Feng recalled the man in the black hooded cloak that night. Under the black hood, there was a strand of long gray hair fluttering in the wind, and the corner of his mouth raised into a wild and evil smile. His body shook, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. His eyes were wide open, and his tears of blood did not stop. He looked up at Mo Xiaobai, and raised his right hand with difficulty. Xiaobai! Xiaobai! Mo Xiaobai squatted down in front of him. Ning Feng's right hand, which was covered in blood, grabbed Mo Xiaobai's arm, and he felt weak. His mouth trembled and his voice was hoarse. Be careful, the evil devil is beside us. Looking at Ning Feng's desperate face, Mo Xiaobai's eyes became blurry, and his chest felt heavy. He pursed his lips slightly and nodded lightly. Yes. After that, Ning Feng once again spat out a mouthful of blood, and his right hand exerted a bit more strength. As if he had a terminal lucidity, the corner of his mouth cracked open with difficulty, revealing an ugly smile. Bury me beside Xiao Ran. I let him down. At least, let me accompany him. Mo Xiaobai's tears suddenly fell. Ning Feng's face was blurry, and he felt that his throat was blocked, as if he had difficulty speaking. However, Mo Xiaobai still nodded lightly. Yes. Just as he finished speaking, Ning Feng seemed to be relieved, and his face became calm. His right hand, which was grabbing Mo Xiaobai's arm, lost its strength and slid to the ground. Looking at Ning Feng's corpse, Mo Xiaobai's mind was blank, and his chest felt like it was on fire, and he had difficulty breathing. Why did it become like this? Uncle Ning and Xiao Ran were both good people. Why did it become like this? Mo Xiaobai fell into silence. At this moment, Li Qishui walked over. His injuries were not light and his face was pale. He glanced at Mo Xiaobai and asked worriedly, Xiaobai, are you all right? Mo Xiaobai wiped his sore eyes and slowly shook his head. I'm fine. At this moment, a wisp of light gray mist drifted out from Ning Feng's body, slowly merging into the demon stone statue that had fallen to the ground. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He turned to look at the demon statue and found that there were dark gray threads of misfortune wrapped around it. The thread of misfortune quietly wrapped around the demon stone statue and did not affect the surroundings. However, this sinister-looking demon statue looked very strange. Mo Xiaobai merely stared at it, and he seemed to hear a faint voice in his mind. What is this? Mo Xiaobai frowned as he looked at the evil demon statue, his eyes filled with uncertainty. At this moment, A hurried voice came from afar. "Don't touch that statue." Mo Xiaobai turned around and saw a group of Azure Edge members quickly approaching. The leader was Captain Wu Liang, and behind him were Sun Wenshan, Li Kaiyan, Lin Xianxian, and a few other Azure Edge members that he did not recognize. At this moment, these Azure Edge members were looking at the evil demon statue with serious expressions. They quickly arrived in front of Mo Xiaobai. They glanced at Mo Xiaobai, who was covered in wounds, and then looked at Ning Feng's corpse on the ground. Their faces were filled with lingering fear. Wu Liang asked worriedly, "Xiaobai, are you all right?" Mo Xiaobai shook his head slightly and asked curiously, "Captain Wu, why are you here?" Wu Liang replied, "Someone saw a white flash here and suspected that it was related to the murder case, so they reported it. I didn't expect it to be related to the murder case." When Mo Xiaobai heard this, he came to a realization. White flash should be referring to the light when he used holy light judgment. It had only been a few minutes since he used holy light judgment. Azure Edge's actions were already considered fast. Mo Xiaobai looked at the evil demon statue and asked, "Captain Wu, what is this statue?" Wu Liang looked at the evil demon statue with a serious expression. "The Destroyer statue. It's a religious object of the Void God cult. It should be a rare type. I didn't expect it to appear here." Destroyer? Mo Xiaobai recalled Ning Feng's words. "King of Destruction?" Wu Liang looked at Mo Xiaobai in shock. "How did you know?" Mo Xiaobai looked at the corpse on the ground. "Uncle Ning told me." "Uncle Ning." Doubt flashed across the eyes of Wu Liang and the rest. However, Wu Liang still said, "That's right, the King of Destruction. The demon worshipped by the Void God cult is called the King of Destruction. According to our understanding over the years, it should be an extremely powerful demon. It is said that it has destroyed many worlds. If there really is a King of Destruction and he comes to Azure Edge, I'm afraid we won't be able to survive." Wu Liang's expression was serious. Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed coldly. "The Void God cult? So it was the Void God cult that caused Uncle Ning to become like this?" Wu Liang said seriously, "The Destroyer statue is very important. I need to bring it back to Azure Edge. Fortunately, we have already informed the higher-up. The Azure Edge experts from Moon Creek City will be here soon." Mo Xiaobai nodded and had no objections. Then, Wu Liang looked at the corpse on the ground. He wanted to say something but stopped. Then, he asked, "Xiaobai, are you related to the mastermind?" Mo Xiaobai nodded. "His name is Ning Feng. He is Ningran. He is the father of the friend I told you about who died in the murder case." Wu Liang and the others' pupils shrank. Wu Liang smiled bitterly and said, "I'm afraid this might not be his intention. It is said that the Destroyer statue can release the murmurs of the Destroyer that can corrupt people's minds." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "I think so too. This might not be Uncle Ning's intention. However, no matter what, we have to bring the corpse back to the headquarters first. We also have to check the items he left behind. And you guys," Wu Liang looked at Mo Xiaobai, Li Qishui, and the frightened students in the distance. He continued, "You guys also need to come back to the headquarters with us first. You can only leave after making sure there are no problems." Li Qishui nodded. "Understood. We will go with you." When it came to matters involving demons, especially evil items like the Destroyer statue, it was natural for Azure Blade to do this. Mo Xiaobai and the other students had no objections. Everyone followed the members of Azure Blade and left the deserted street. One of the 3 forbidden areas, Dark Valley. There was a barren mountain range covered with gray and black rock. The sky was covered with dark clouds. No sunlight could pass through the clouds. It was very dark and gloomy. On the ground, a strong wind blew past with a cold aura. It was like the murmurs from the abyss. On the hillside, a figure wearing a black cloak and a hood was slowly climbing up the mountain. His face could not be seen clearly. He carried a strange black sword on his back. The blade of the sword was sharp and ferocious. There were blood-red patterns engraved on the body of the sword. There was a ferocious ghost face on the hilt of the sword. At this moment, the figure suddenly paused, and a gentle voice sounded. The fruit has ripened so quickly?" He took out a palm-sized black destroyer statue from his cloak. There was a wisp of gray mist flowing on the statue. A cold breeze blew past. The hood and the gray hair under the hood fluttered in the wind, revealing the man's evil and wild smile. "Rakshasa, it's time to eat." As soon as he said that, the strange black sword on his back made a buzzing sound. On the hilt of the sword, the eyes of the ferocious Rakshasa ghost face flashed with an evil blood-red light. Chapter 86. Tomorrow, which is the 1st of June, the author's book will be published. Time flies. I've been writing for more than a month already. Thank you so much for having so many friends supporting the author. Also, thank you to Napoleon's Underwear, Zero Summer, 789 Bookfriend 20190711081813487, Chinchensi, and other big shots for their tip. The first volume of the book was about to come to an end. The content of this volume was about the First Cries trial and this murder case. The First Cries trial described the rise of our pig trotters, and this murder case simply set the tone for the book and introduced the world in which the story took place. Azure was not a peaceful world. Outside, there were void demons and evil gods from the astral world eyeing it covetously. They wanted to descend and destroy Azure at any time. Inside, there were also void god religion and various other sects that wanted to harm Azure for their own belief. In such a dangerous world, the 6 races worked together to protect Azure, to protect their home. The origin of the demons, what was their universe, why were there void domains, why were there transcendent materials, origin skills, and other mystical items? Where did the 6 races originate? What happened in ancient times or even older eras? The origin of the 3 forbidden zones. And so on and so forth. The author will start from the 2nd volume and slowly tell all these to his friends. Of course, the author was not a veteran. The author felt that his storytelling ability still needed to be learned and improved slowly. The author could only promise that he would try his best to tell this story well. About the content of the book, that's about it. Then there was the issue of the results of the publication. After all, the author also needed to earn a living. If the results were not good, the author would starve to death. The author knew that some of his friends were still in school and their financial conditions might not be very good. Of course, the author could understand that they could not read the original version. However, the first order was very important to the author. After all, it was related to whether the book would be liked by people and whether he should continue writing it. Therefore, I hope that the friends with limited financial conditions can support the first order. The first order was only a few cents, so it should not be a problem here. The author would like to thank everyone, of course. It would be best if those with financial ability could support the original version. Finally, there was the issue of the updates after the publication. Many of his friends said that it was short and weak. After all, it hadn't been published yet, so there was no way to release more chapters. After the novel was published, the author would probably write at least 3,000 words per chapter. There would be at least 2 chapters, which would be at least 6,000 words. If possible, the author would try his best to maintain 3 chapters, which would be 10,000 words per chapter. The author's writing speed was very slow, and he had to ensure the quality of the story. Therefore, it was a very challenging thing for the author. In addition, the increase after it was put on the shelves was even more problematic. Because there is a monthly ranking for the first month, if possible, I hope that my friends can help me get on the ranking. Considering the issue of updating speed, every 500 votes, the author would add a chapter. This should be the fastest speed that the author could update while ensuring the quality of the novel. As for the initial subscription, if there are more than 2,000 initial subscriptions, I will add a chapter for every 1,000 subscriptions. The reason is the same as above. If it's a reward, it's enough if you like the book. But if it's a big reward, you have to do your best. Reading the original book is the biggest support for the author. Alright, that's about it. Once again, thank you for your support, Muar. Chapter 87. The Cemetery in the Eastern Suburbs of Pingxi Town. The pine and cypress trees in the cemetery were still tall and green. The morning air was slightly chilly. Under the morning light, the pine and cypress trees and tombstones cast shadows on each other. The cemetery was dark and quiet. Only the chirping of birds could be heard from time to time. Beside Ning Ran's tombstone, there was a new tombstone. This was Ning Feng's tomb. 3 days ago, Mo Xiaobai and the rest followed Wu Liang and the rest back to the Azure Edge's headquarters, causing a commotion. After all, Mo Xiaobai was the one who killed the mastermind behind the scenes of Azure Edge in Pingxi Town during this period of time. This was naturally shocking. After hearing that Ning Feng had demonized, the Azure Edge conducted a comprehensive check on Mo Xiaobai and the rest. In the end, it was confirmed that all the students were only slightly shocked. Although Li Qishui and Mo Xiaobai were heavily injured, there were no signs of corruption. With the help of Azure Edge's healing potions, the two of them quickly recovered. Finally, the Azure Edge checked the condition of Ning Feng's body and his belongings. After confirming that there were no problems, the Azure Edge handed Ning Feng's body and belongings over to Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai then informed Mo Yu and Muyuzhu. Mo Yu and Muyuzhu couldn't believe it when they heard that Ning Feng was the real culprit behind the murder case. They had been friends with Ning Feng for close to 20 years. They knew Ning Feng's character too well. However, when the two of them arrived at the Azure Edge and saw Ning Feng's body, they could only remain silent in the face of the truth. Ning Feng and Ning Ran did not have any relatives in Pingxi Town. According to Ning Feng's final wish, Mo Xiaobai and his family buried him beside Ning Ran. The father and son would also have a companion. Mo Xiaobai, Mo Yu, and Mu Yuzhu stood quietly in front of the tombstone. The atmosphere was silent. Mo Yu looked at the photo on Ning Feng's tombstone. Ning Feng was smiling brightly in the photo. His white teeth sparkled under the sunlight. Mo Yu sighed softly. I didn't expect Ning Feng and Ning Ran to end up like this after suffering for so long. Mu Yuzhu also sighed softly. It's all because of those lunatics from the Void God cult. Mo Xiaobai felt his eyes sting. Every time he went in and out of the community, Ning Feng would always greet him with a smile, and would also teach him. When he was still refining his body, he would sometimes cultivate in the community's cultivation field, and when Ning Feng passed by, he would also give him pointers. Ning Ran was also a very good child. She was sensible and obedient. Who would have thought that in the end, he could only send them off here? After paying their respects to Ning Feng and Ning Ran, the three of them left the cemetery. Just as he arrived at the entrance, Mo Xiaobai saw Wu Liang and 2 people in Azure Blade's uniform about to enter the neighborhood. Mo Xiaobai and the other 2 were stunned. Mo Yu called out, Captain Wu? Why are you here? The 3 people who were about to enter the residential area heard Mo Yu's voice and turned around. After seeing Mo Xiaobai and the other 2, Wu Liang smiled. Captain Mo, Vice Captain Mu, did you guys just come back? Mo Yu nodded with a complicated expression, to send Ning Feng off for the last time. When Wu Liang heard this, he sighed softly and said, I see. Regarding the matter of Ning Feng and Ning Ran, Wu Liang had heard Mo Xiaobai mention it before. Clearly, he also sympathized with the 2 of them. Then, he chuckled, It's already over, don't think about these unhappy things. I'm here today to look for Xiaobai. Look for me? Mo Xiaobai was stunned. Wu Liang smiled and nodded. Let me introduce. These 2 are Azure Blades members from Moon Creek City, Captain Ling Lu and Yu Qi. Mo Xiaobai turned around and looked at the two Azure Blades members. Ling Lu was a tall and skinny middle-aged elf man with a serious expression. He had short brown hair, and his gray eyes were calm and distant. Yu Qi was a slightly chubby human man. He had a gentle smile on his face, and his black eyes weren't big, but they were very spirited. Both of them seemed to be very strong. Mo Xiaobai nodded and greeted them. "Captain Ling, Uncle Yu Qi, nice to meet you." Hearing this, the smile on Yu Qi's face froze. He couldn't help but touch his slightly chubby face and whispered, "Uncle, am I that old?" Ling Lu nodded at Mo Xiaobai and smiled. "Xiaobai, you're really a young hero. Not only are you this year's top scorer, but you also helped Azure Blade solve such a difficult case." Wu Liang also said, because Xiaobai helped Azure Blade solve such a difficult case, after reporting to the higher-ups, they decided to reward Xiaobai. "If you have time now, come with us to the Adventurers Guild." Mo Xiaobai and the other two's eyes lit up. They looked at each other, and Mo Yu smiled and said, "Of course we have time. Let's go then." Adventurers Guild. Mo Xiaobai, Mo Yu, and Mu Yuzhu followed Wu Liang and the other two into Bu Bai's office. Bu Bai seemed to have received the news beforehand and was already waiting. After exchanging some pleasantries, Ling Lu looked at Mo Xiaobai and said, "Student Xiaobai, you've helped us a lot this time." Ning Feng was already at the peak of the third chakra and was about to break through to the fourth chakra. He even had the Destroyer's Stone statue. If you hadn't discovered and killed him, the consequences would have been unimaginable if he had left Pingxi town. Mo Xiaobai smiled bitterly. "Uncle Ning was the one who found me." Ling Lu smiled. "No matter what the reason is, the Azure Edge's headquarters in Moon Creek City have discussed it. The reward for you this time will be divided into 3 parts. The first part is that because the Adventurers Guild has already issued a mission for this case, and considering the actual situation, we and the Adventurers Guild have always believed that the difficulty of this mission has barely reached the silver rank. Therefore, we will directly raise your adventurer rank to the bronze rank." Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai was stunned. His eyes widened and he was a little surprised. Directly to the bronze rank? His current adventurer rank was still Black Iron, and he only had 22 points. It was still a long way from leveling up. Who would have thought that he would be promoted to the bronze rank with just one mission? This would save him a lot of time. After all, different levels of adventurers had different levels of authority in the Adventurers Guild. Many void domains could only be entered after reaching a certain level of adventurer rank. Some Adventurers Guild's origin crystals, origin skill books, extraordinary materials, and so on also required adventurers to be of a certain level to purchase them. Even when adventurers were of a higher level, they would be able to enjoy discounts in the official places of the Void Domain encampment, such as the residential areas of the encampment. There were many benefits. Even Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were a little surprised at this moment. After all, the two of them were still bronze adventurers. It wasn't that they didn't have enough points. It was just that in order to become a silver adventurer, they had to complete 3 silver missions. The difficulty of these silver missions was extremely high. Normally, only 4 or 5 Apertures adventurers could complete them. It was extremely difficult for 3 Apertures adventurers to complete them. Part of the reason why Ningfeng's mission had barely reached the silver rank was because of the Destroyer's Stone statue. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu were both 3 Apertures, so it was naturally difficult for them to become silver adventurers. In other words, Mo Xiaobai's adventurer rank had already caught up to theirs. This made Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu feel conflicted. They felt both proud and helpless. Bu Bai smiled and said, "Xiaobai, give me your adventurer's badge." Mo Xiaobai handed his adventurer's badge to Bu Bai. Bu Bai operated the device for a while. Then, he took out a bronze adventurer's badge that he had prepared beforehand and inserted Mo Xiaobai's information into it. After that, Bu Bai handed the bronze adventurer's badge to Mo Xiaobai. Congratulations, Xiao Bai. You are now a bronze adventurer. As he spoke, he sighed. You are the fastest bronze adventurer I've seen to have advanced. You advanced in just 2 months. Mo Xiaobai laughed a little embarrassedly and reached out to take the badge. After registering his adventurer rank, Ling Lu continued, the second reward is a rare grade origin skill crystal. Rare grade origin skill crystal? He should be able to sense the second aperture very soon. His consciousness drifted in the endless darkness. At this moment, he saw an illusory white dot of light in the darkness. Mo Xiaobai's spirit was shaken and he was overjoyed. He finally found it. He hurriedly summoned his force and began to attack the white light. Opening the origin aperture. Boom! 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 With each attack, Mo Xiaobai felt a piercing pain all over his body. Fortunately, his body was very strong and he didn't need to rest. He could continue attacking. Finally, a crisp shattering sound was heard. White light burst out from the white light, illuminating the deep darkness. The origin aperture opened. The moment the origin aperture opened, Mo Xiaobai's mind was filled with images of the jinn. In the vast wilderness, a 5-meter-tall jinn in bronze armor wielded a black heavy sword, sweeping and slashing. When the jinn swung his sword, the terrifying sword wind swept across the earth, leaving deep trenches in the ground. Mo Xiaobai could feel the energy circulation of the jinn as he swung his heavy sword. Unknowingly, he seemed to have transformed into the jinn. Not only did he swing his heavy sword, but he also gradually deepened the use of his strength. Crack! The image shattered and turned into light dots that merged into Mo Xiaobai's body. Immediately, Mo Xiaobai's body began to strengthen again. His jinn strength talent had been strengthened. Moments later, when his body stopped strengthening, Mo Xiaobai opened his eyes. He felt the surging power in his body and the corners of his mouth curled up into a pleasantly surprised smile. Originally, his jinn strength's amplification was slightly weaker than the first stage's breath of life. But now it was much stronger than the first stage's breath of life. Combined with the breath of life and the increase in strength from breaking through to the second aperture, Mo Xiaobai found that his physical strength had more than doubled. Mo Xiaobai closed his eyes once more. In the darkness, Mo Xiaobai's first origin aperture flickered with a dazzling white light like a shining star. The second origin aperture was much smaller than the first origin aperture. It was not even 1/10 the size of the first origin aperture. At this moment, this origin aperture was flickering with a hazy white light as strands of origin power were being absorbed and spat out. Mo Xiaobai held the Grade 2 origin crystal and began cultivating with the flawless elementary refinement technique. The origin power in the Grade 2 origin crystal was much stronger than that of the Grade 1 origin crystal. After being absorbed by Mo Xiaobai, it merged into the second origin aperture and began developing it. Very soon, an hour later, the second origin aperture had expanded by a small portion. Mo Xiaobai felt a sharp pain and stopped cultivating. He opened his eyes with a slight frown. Moreover, Mo Xiaobai had given Mu Yuzhu the Fireball Chain Origin Skill Crystal he had obtained in the Blazing Wilderness. This had increased Mu Yuzhu's combat strength by quite a bit. Mo Yu was a bit disappointed. After all, only Mu Yuzhu got a gift. As her father, he didn't get one. This made him feel very unbalanced. Because of this, Mo Yu was depressed for a few days and couldn't even eat well. The three of them took a taxi and arrived at a rental agency in the eastern district of northern Blue City. The rental agency was called Half Moon Rental Agency. It was a subsidiary of the Half Moon Financial Group, which was considered a large financial group in northern Blue City and even the entire Azure Empire. According to the information MOU and the others had checked, this agency had quite a good reputation. The prices were fair and the houses were real. They wouldn't cheat their customers. Half Moon Rental Agency's shop was located on the first floor of a shopping mall owned by the Half Moon Financial Group. Mo Xiaobai followed MOU and Mu Yuzhu into the shop. He scanned the shop and noticed that it was quite big. There were rows of tables and chairs on the left, which was the reception area. On the right was the office area where many staff members in black suits were working. As soon as Mo Xiaobai and the others entered, a young mermaid in a suit walked over. The mermaid had a gentle smile on her face. "Hello, welcome to Half Moon Rental Agency. I'm Li Jing, an employee of Half Moon Rental Agency." MOU smiled and nodded. "Hello, Miss Li. I'm MOU." "Hello, Mr. Mo. This way, please." As she spoke, Li Jing brought the three of them to the reception area. She found a place to sit down and poured hot tea for the three of them. Then, she smiled and said, "Mr. Mo, are you planning to buy a house or rent a house?" "Rent a house." "Do you have any specific requirements?" "The one with all the necessary facilities. It's convenient and has better security." MOU listed the conditions that Mo Xiaobai and the others had discussed before. Mo Xiaobai and the others were a little traumatized by Ning Feng and Ning Rant's incident. No matter what, safety was the priority. When Li Jing heard this, her eyes lit up slightly. With such conditions, the rent would definitely be high. Her commission would naturally be high too. The smile on her face suddenly became brighter. "Please wait a moment, let me check." MOU nodded. The three of them drank their tea and waited quietly. Not long after, Li Jing smiled and said, "There's a house here that fits your criteria, Mr. Mo. The house is well equipped and the security guards are not bad. The security captain is at 4 apertures, and the landlord is a history teacher at Red Moon Academy." Akatsuki Academy's history teacher? Mo Xiaobai and the others were curious when they heard that the landlord was a history teacher at Akatsuki Academy. Li Jing didn't understand their change, but she didn't ask.